We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. For many, it's a playground. For others, it's where we earn our living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant. And when accidents happen, they happen very fast.
On the sea, you have to expect the unexpected. It will just turn around and bite you.
Mayday! Mayday!
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of nearly 5,000 ordinary people.
When the pager goes off, we don't know what the shout is, where it is, how many people are involved. It could be anything.
Where do you feel the pain, Alex?
My back and my leg and my neck.
Stuart, just hold the boat!
I am so thankful that they came.
Things could have turned out to be a lot worse.
I've had people drown in front of me. Before we've got there, that person's gone.
Calm down, you're okay, pal.
Equipped with their own cameras,
My light flashing. That's mine.
the crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it. Speeding through the roughest weather, searching for people who may only have moments to live. For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
The decisions we make on a lifeboat can all mean the difference between life or death.
Lying at the mouth of the Kingsbridge estuary on the south coast of Devon is Salcombe, a resort town with a proud seafaring history.
There aren't many harbours that you come into that look as beautiful as this place. Its biggest selling factor is sandy beaches and nice clear water. The harbour is made up of recreational, commercial fishermen, commercial water sports, paddle boards, canoes, kayak, everything. You name it, if it floats, it's pretty much been in here.
But by the autumn, the local fishing fleet can often have the sea to themselves. The Salcombe lifeboat crew have received a mayday call, the highest level of emergency at sea. A fishing boat is in distress a mile offshore.
The initial comms were man overboard and that he's been caught under the water. You hear mayday, a man overboard, it sort of pricks your ears up and you're thinking, all this stuff we've trained for, this is where it counts now.
Any delay on a mayday call can mean the difference between life and death. In charge, second coxswain Cameron has a decision to make. Wait for crew member Kirsten, a junior doctor, or launch the lifeboat.
You're sort of like drastically working out, have I got enough crew to go to sea? Can I go now, or am I going to wait for the doctor? You know that you're going to need a doctor, but then if you wait longer, you get there and it's too late. The rest of the guys are on the boat looking at you and you're thinking, well, do I, don't I?
Cameron gambles and decides to wait for the doctor.
When I got to station, first thing I saw was Cam, who was like looking down at the street, and normally he like say hello to me or something friendly to start with, and he just went, "Get your gear, there's an unconscious fisherman," and I think that's all we knew at that time.
With Kirsten now on board, the crew pushed the Tamar-class lifeboat to its top speed of 25 knots in a race to reach the fishing boat.
Fishing's a very dangerous occupation, so they're used to taking risks. They're very good at looking after themselves, and I think often that's why when something goes wrong, it's gone wrong in a big way.
You're making comms to the Coast Guard, they've given you an update, he's now on deck. They've got him breathing, but he stopped breathing again.
The fisherman has been pulled back on board unconscious. His crewmates are trying to resuscitate him.
Worst case is you arrive and he's not breathing and you can't get him to breathe. We do our best for that not to happen, but you can't control that. Time is always against you when someone's been in the water. "25
minutes after the call came in, the crew spot the fishing boat. Kirsten and fellow volunteer James get aboard to make an immediate assessment of the casualty's condition.
As I got close to him and saw him properly, he was lying on his side and he just looked really sick. He looked grey, he looked washed out.
He was in and out of consciousness. You didn't get a huge amount out of him. He was bringing up seawater. You know when someone's not well, and he wasn't.
Although he's conscious, the fisherman's been underwater, deprived of oxygen for several minutes. He's also suffering serious injuries from being dragged across the deck by the fishing gear that pulled him under.
He was making a lot of effort to breathe. His heart rate was super high. We got some oxygen on him pretty much straight away. He needed equipment that we couldn't give on a lifeboat. Cam had said to me before, like, if you can, let's just walk him over and take him, you know, back into Salcombe. And I remember telling Coops, you need to tell him he's big sick and he needs to be immobilised and we need to get him out of here and quickly.
A Coast Guard helicopter has been scrambled, but it's coming from Newquay over 50 miles away. The crew must now keep the casualties stable until it arrives.
Being underwater for that amount of time, drowning, not breathing, there are top-level sort of bad day things to happen. You're using every resource you possibly can.
Silas, the injured fisherman, was pulled overboard while laying crab pots with his best friend Jack.
We weren't quite family, but you could all but say he was, because I've known him since I was 3. We went to primary school together, we went to secondary school together. We did everything together, pretty much. He had his own little boat and wanted to learn, and I said that you come on with us and we'll teach you. We were nearly about to go home. Silas let the end weight go. The rope sort of come tight and it appeared to like attract round his hand. He got tangled up and he hit the deck and he was sliding out the door. And I'm still looking over the rail, froze, and he's looking at me with full eye contact. And the expression and the look in his eyes was, I'm never coming back. And then I watched him go out the door and he just disappeared into the blue. And Silas's Wellington boots popped up to the surface. And I was shouting, he's there, and then I sort of realised he wasn't there, it was just his Wellingtons. Suddenly, I could see his hand, and it come up over, and I thought, we've got him. And I was expecting him to start shouting, get me out of the water. That's what I was expecting. But I didn't expect him to be like that, dead, lying in the water upside down. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that at all.
Kirsten and James have been working to keep Silas stable for almost 10 minutes. Finally, the Coast Guard helicopter appears overhead.
When you see the helicopter arrive, it is a relief, because you know that they're paramedics and they carry much more equipment than what we do, and they'll be in hospital in half the time as what it would be for us to steam in and get them in an ambulance. It could give them the best chance to survive if they get up in a helicopter.
Although they've stabilised him, the crew need to get Silas urgent medical attention.
He just looked awful by the time they were wanting to winch him up. The winchman looked at him and he was like, we need to get out of here, we need to get out of here quick.
The plan at the time was that the helo was going to drop down their stretcher, we'd transfer him and he'd go up. Sadly, he took a bit of a turn for the worse, and both Kirsten and Reggie, the winchman, life over limb, and it was made clear that an immediate winch was necessary.
Silas has flown 30 miles to Plymouth to be treated for serious neck injuries and the effects of oxygen starvation.
You're on tenterhooks because you know you've done the best you can do, but the level of his injuries were just so severe, he needed to get to a hospital.
All Cameron can do now is wait to find out if his gamble to hold the lifeboat for Kirsten has paid off.
You hope that you made the right decision, you try your best, but until you hear that they're on the mend and that they're doing okay, you still don't, you're not resting on your laurels so much.
On arriving at hospital, the injured fisherman Silas was rushed into emergency surgery. His injuries were so severe, he was placed into an induced coma.
He came round and he just wanted to talk to me. I was ushered in quickly and relieved to hear him speaking and talking to me, even though he was sky high on morphine. It was a relief once I knew he was semi-okay.
I had a fractured neck. Obviously, as I went out the door, I must have fractured it then. It hit a bit of stainless steel and just knocked my vertebrae forwards and fractured my neck. I remember being under the water for a little bit, and then I must have got unconscious, just blacked out.
I think he came as close to dying as you'd ever want to come. You do feel like proud that you've done something that, actually might change the outcome of someone's life.
Well, I'm very grateful for what they did. If it wasn't for them being on the ball, I might not be here. It says on those YOLO t-shirts, you only live once, and my mate went, you need one that says YOLOT. You only live twice.
Making split-second life and death decisions at sea is part of the job for the 5,000 volunteers who guard the waters around the UK and Ireland.
Time is everything, from pager to the boat hitting the water to the scene itself. Each second counts.
Where do you feel the pain, Alex?
My back of my leg and my neck.
Your mind is racing straight away. Is there going to be people in the water? What's the state of the tide? Can I even get to where they are?
Decisions need to be made there and then, on the spot.
Take the stretcher. Give it to me.
And it's your decisions that ultimately result in somebody being rescued or somebody being lost.
Paramedics talk about the golden hour, but you have an hour because you're on land. But if you're at water and you have a chance of drowning, you're going to drown in a matter of seconds.
A second can always be the difference between life and death.
In its 143-year history, the crews at Marlborough Station on the Isle of Anglesey have amassed 37 awards for gallantry.
Hello. Hi, Rob.
Hello, Bobby J.
Probably wouldn't call it a team. I'd probably call it more of a family.
Do they do extra large boats?
There's nothing that could break the bond that we've got. It really is a small community, and the lifeboat station's the big part of it.
Lying off the rugged northwest coast of Wales, the seas around Anglesey are peppered with rocky outcrops, which have wrecked many a ship over the years. And there's one place on the Marlborough Cruise patch which is more treacherous than most.
Dillis Island is a chunk of rock in the middle of the sea, 2 miles offshore, but it's notorious in the 1800s for shipwrecks. I've been on the island and it's pretty bleak. It's cold, it's exposed, there's no shelter from the wind, so it's not a nice place.
It has a refuge on it that's been there from the 1800s, and its purpose was to give survivors of shipwreck a location to shelter until help would reach them.
33-year-old Martin Jones has been on the crew here for 17 years. He and his wife Kerry have lived on Anglesey all their lives.
Lottie, does Dad go on the boat?
There's Jokes, yeah.
18-month-old Lottie is one of the newest additions to the community.
It's having a little one, it's made you look at life a bit more, more sensitive. Makes you think about everything, really, running down to the boat.
There is always that risk that this time they might not come back, but it's what he loves to do, so we all just live with it.
The winter months in Marlborough are some of the most challenging for the lifeboat crews. As temperatures plummet, Marlborough Station receives an emergency call from the Coast Guard.
So we've got two overdue divers, launched from Quicksand.
A worried family member has dialed 999 after 2 kayakers failed to return from a trip out to sea. It's been nearly 4 hours since they set off.
Yeah, good. Is everybody clear? Going to go out there and investigate?
5 minutes after the call, the station's 32-ton Tamar-class lifeboat is launched.
The first information we got at the station was that it was an overdue kayak. We get them quite frequently, where perhaps people have come back to shore and forgotten to call the Coast Guard to say they've arrived back. We thought it would be a quick search of the area, find somebody putting their kit away on the shoreline.
There is one kayak, I repeat, one kayak, which is a double kayak.
An update from the Coast Guard. An upturned kayak has been spotted drifting 1.5 miles out at sea.
2 persons, possibly in water.
Still thinking about recovery from the water. Yeah. So I don't know how long they've been in the water, but we'll try to see what I'll go in if needed, yeah? Thank you.
When you find out that they're not actually with the craft, it changes your train of thought. A cold day in February, the seawater temperature, it's going to be freezing cold. Their chance of survival has reduced massively.
A biting easterly wind has also plunged the air temperature below freezing. In these conditions, hypothermia can take hold within minutes.
Cramp sets in, your body functions are reduced, you can't move your arms, your legs properly, and you literally just become a floating mass that isn't able to help themselves.
Yeah, just have a think about if we've got to recover somebody from the water, get some blankets out.
We didn't actually know what time or at what point they got into difficulty. Were we looking for people treading water, trying to stay afloat, or were we looking for potentially 2 bodies? We just did not know.
Can we get some beds up here, please, guys?
2 persons in the water, 13-year-old.
I was a 13-year-old.
We got the information that it was a father and his 13-year-old son, and that was a real kind of game changer for me. Big lump in my throat, felt instantly emotional. I've got a 10-year-old son myself. I'm not the only parent on that boat. And for everybody, it got very, very serious, very, very quickly.
On the morning that Joe and Paul went out kayaking, I just had this foreboding sense of ill feeling at them going. Sadly, I was proved right. I rang the mobile phone. It didn't even ring out, it just went straight onto answer phone. I was trying to make excuses for why I couldn't get hold of them. And then eventually, I couldn't justify making any more excuses. I rang the Coast Guard, and then I made my way to the beach. I was panicking inside.
Biscuit 2 on that. 140. 140 offline us at 1.5 miles only run. Manager, yeah, okay.
All the crew have to go on is that the upturned kayak was last seen around 4 nautical miles up the coast from Marlborough, just north of Dillis Island.
I was in the wheelhouse taking information over the radio. Josh, one of our junior crew members, I could hear him shouting at the top, "I've seen somebody."
I'd looked, and then I looked away, and then I looked back again, but something in it just caught my eye that without the binoculars that there was somebody on the island.
1, 2, 3.
fastest way to get to the island is with the small Y-class boat. As Martin and Josh approach, two figures appear.
Bear with me. Watch yourself. Get contact with the bow, box. Okay, yeah, Josh. Right. What's your name, mate? Joe. Joe. I'm Martin, okay? What's your name, mate? Paul. Paul, right. Have you ingested water? Yeah. Yeah. I've swallowed quite a bit, yeah. You've swallowed quite a bit of water. And we're feeling really cold? Yeah. Right, okay. No, you got no shoes or nothing, no, mate?
No.
Right. Came off? Came off.
So I've got cold feet.
Okay, mate. Follow my footsteps, don't come off the high stuff. Right, yeah. Slightly unconscious in the water, he's dragging me out. Right.
I was falling asleep.
You were falling asleep with it?
Yeah.
Right, okay, mate.
Within minutes of talking to him, you could see that they'd both been through something really, really traumatic.
Right. Take your own time, take your time.
Wet, cold and exhausted, the boy and his father have spent over 2 hours exposed to the elements on the island.
Okay.
It was by far the most severe case of hypothermia I've definitely seen. Yeah, everything. The shakes, the clamminess, the blue lips.
Josh, ask for the chopper.
We needed to get these casualties off here. I need to get them to professional medical assistance.
I think the plan is to evacuate by helicopter. We're going to get you seen to hospital.
Paul and his son Joe were off the coast of Marlborough when their kayak started taking in water and capsized.
We were about half a mile from Unistillas, so obviously that was closest, so I said, if you straddle the boat, I'll try and kick it towards the island.
After half an hour making no progress, and with hypothermia setting in, they abandoned the kayak and tried to swim to the island instead.
We got in the water, and Joe was quite upset. He said, I think we're going to die. And I was convinced we both were at that point because of the cold. He said, again, I think we are going to die, Dad. But if we die, the last thing I want to do is give you a kiss. So I gave him a kiss and I told him I loved him, and we set off to swim. The waves were breaking on me and I was taking on quite a lot of water, and obviously the sea temperature was what it was, and I'd been in there for quite a long time by now. My arms were starting to fail, and I was on my back, and I remember feeling that this is really warm and really peaceful, and just went to sleep.
He's a paramedic, okay? He's going to come down and he's going to assess you.
You can swallow on a seawall, if so, a lot. Yeah. Roughly how many full mouthfuls? I thought I was going to drown. You thought you were going to drown? What about you, little man? Thought you were going to drown? Yeah, good effort getting your dad, yeah? He saved my life,
I saw he was like unconscious, so I jumped back in the sea, swam to him, carried him to that island, then gave him CPR and resuscitated him.
I don't remember how I got from the side of the water up to the tower. I asked Joe how I got there and he said, I put you in my back and I carried you.
Don't you go to sleep on me, okay?
He was just on my shoulder, so like, because the rocks were about 4 or 5 foot high each one, I'd carry him up one, then I'd just like have a little tiny rest because it's quite tiring. Then I'd just keep on carrying up as many as I could, then we got to shelter.
Without a shadow of a doubt, Joe saved my life that day. When he thought that he was looking at death, the fact that he wanted to do that as a last action, I think was lovely.
After 2.5 hours on the island, Paul and Joe are flown to hospital in Bangor to be treated for shock and severe hypothermia.
If we hadn't spotted them when we had, then there was still a huge risk to their lives. They were both hypothermic. It was getting later in the afternoon. They would have just got colder, and ultimately, yes, they were still gravely in danger.
It's probably the closest I've seen to life being lost. If Joe hadn't been as strong as he was in doing what he did and swimming back out to his dad, Paul wouldn't be around today.
To learn that the 13-year-old son had actually gone out and rescued his dad, given his father CPR on the shore because he'd lost consciousness and thought that his own dad was dying in front of him. To hear a son ask for one last kiss, one final goodbye from his own dad is just, it's heart-wrenching.
When I saw that they were alive, it was just such a relief. I don't know what would have happened to my family if Joe hadn't have done what he'd done that day. But I do know that he's got the right moral compass, and I'm very proud of him for that.
Most of the UK and Ireland's 238 lifeboat stations lie on the coast. But the busiest is Tower on the River Thames. Annually, over 10 million tourists, commuters and city dwellers use this stretch of water. And the crew at this station deal with over 500 call-outs a year.
5, 4, 3, 2, contact!
The Thames is a very unique body. The footfall we've got in London being the capital city, I mean, people flock there in their thousands on a daily basis. We've got an awful lot of commercial users with a high volume of passengers. We've got a lot of people on the embankments, on the bridges. The river brings so much life and so much to the city, but if you don't respect it, it can take everything away from you as well.
Guarding 15 miles of river, Tower Lifeboat Station floats on a pontoon alongside Waterloo Bridge.
Most of our jobs are people recovered from the water. We've got all the bridges through our patch. People get on top of them, young lads showing off. Some people mean to go in there in the hope of ending it all. It's essential that we get there as quick as we can. If it's a person in the water, every second counts.
Everything about Tower Station is geared to getting on the water in the quickest time possible. It has a full-time crew on continuous duty, and they're equipped with the fastest boat in the fleet, the E-Class. With a top speed of 45 knots, it can reach any point in their patch within 15 minutes.
The Thames itself is equally as dangerous in a lot of senses as the west coast of Scotland in a howling gale, but it's a different type of danger. You've got a river that's trying to flow the passage that it's always flown for thousands and thousands of years, yet man has put in bridges and piers and all sorts of obstructions that change the dynamics of that river.
The reason we have to be there very quickly is because even in the height of summer, the River Thames is very cold. It also has a very deceptive flow rate. It is moving very quickly. At certain places it runs at 6 or 7 knots, which in land terms is around about 10 miles an hour. A great deal faster than you could ever swim.
In January, the water temperature of the Thames can drop as low as 8 degrees. The tower crew are called out. Over a mile downstream, a man has been spotted on scaffolding overhanging the river.
We have a launch time of 90 seconds, day or night. That's from the bell going, kitted up, ropes off, and engines in gear.
The crew pushed the 870 horsepower E-Class to maximum speed.
Time is critical. I've been on numerous jobs where we've been on scene before the person's jumped, and we've missed them. They've gone down 3 metres in front of us and never been seen again.
I've had people drown in front of me, 50, 100 metres away. I've seen someone in the water and we've been going to them at full speed, and before we've got there, that person's gone.
The tide is going out fast, and at this stage the crew have no idea of the man's intentions.
On the way to a job like that, you're imagining, a fall from height. So I'm thinking it could be a spinal injury, what equipment we're going to use, how we're going to recover them, what the tide's doing, the dangers in that area.
The crew cover the mile in less than 3 minutes.
The thing was just unfolding as we arrived, and you could see the police boat was there, and they were sort of lighting up the scene a bit.
This guy again on the scaffolding building.
The police report that the man had been asked to leave a riverside pub. He's now clinging onto scaffolding over 30 feet above its beer garden.
He's standing on the ledge, now trying to gain access to the 3rd floor. Phil, did you get a search light?
Arriving on scene, trying to locate the person. And I see sort of the corner of my eye, the security were pointing up to scaffolding on the side of the pub. And I was looking up and I see this figure. He's a long way up, 30, 40 foot in the air on the scaffold. The water was shallow, about 1 metre. There's like a scaffold pole sticking out there.
Sir, stay there.
You're thinking, if he goes down in that area, there is a good chance he's going to be impaled on that.
We board you. I don't think we've got step or board you on the side of
You can board us. Yeah, come alongside, jump on, yeah, we got video.
The police want to approach the man to try and talk him down, but they can't reach him via the scaffolding, and their boat can't get under the building to the shore.
Where do you want to take you? Well, as close as you can get.
An officer boards the more manoeuvrable lifeboat to get in closer.
Yeah, and I'll keep on my deck.
We're limited in the position we were at to what we could do. We had the scaffold tube to one side where he obviously didn't want to hit that.
He's backing up and getting fucking good.
We had the concrete overhang of the beer garden to the other side. Then I also had to work out a distance if he was to fall where he would land, but be close enough that we could grab him as soon as possible.
Creeping into the riverbank, all the crew can do is prepare to react as fast as possible if the casualty falls or jumps.
You get that adrenaline of getting there and thinking what we're going to do, and then there can be a wait, and that wait can be longer and longer. The dynamics of the job can easily change, where they're moving, it's cold, there's a strong ebb tide. Every minute, everything's changing.
Sir, stay inside, there's someone on your right, someone on your left.
Suddenly, a resident emerges from a flat.
Look to your right!
You could see his startled look. You would never expect that in a million years. Someone literally stuck to the side of the wall of your flat at that height.
He's going in the flat!
He runs sort of out from his balcony around to his kitchen window, and he tried to coax the lad in.
And the Coast Guard, Roger. Someone from a flat is trying to get through their window. Stand by if he does go in.
The ledge must have been no more than 3 or 4 inches that he was balancing on.
Phil, if he goes with that side recovery.
Is that person going to get themselves to safety? Are they going to fall? Or is it going to happen now in front of us?
He's coming. Nail in water.
I remember saying to him, here he comes. and it's in slow motion. You can almost hear them, and then you hear that splash.
The casualty has narrowly missed the scaffolding pole, but now the crew have just seconds to get him before he's swept downriver in the darkness.
Come here! Come here! Swim to me! Swim to me, give me your hand! Contact!
The boat was there within 3-4 seconds. We had hands on him, and then he was recovered into the lifeboat.
Gently, just gently. It's all right.
Normally, we would have taken some greater care, let's say, at recovering them, but we didn't have the time for that. Purely where his location was, seconds later, we would have been swept underneath the overhang of the beer garden. It was 4 knots of tide on the ebb tide, and he would have gone underneath. There was no possibly have avoided it. So we had to choose, basically, get him in or let him drown.
Check over and feel for any injuries. Okay. You wiggle your hand. It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. The other arm? You're all right, don't move your head. Can you feel your feet? Toes? Yeah. We'll take you to the lifeboat station and we'll sort you out from there, okay? All right?
While the crew rush back to the lifeboat station, the resident who tried to intervene helps the police piece together the events of the night.
We were aware of flashing blue lights everywhere. Went out in the balcony and got a real shock to see a young guy hanging onto the side of our building just by our window, looking absolutely petrified. I started talking to him and tried to ask him whether he felt he could edge along the ledge a bit to get opposite the window we'd now opened. The next minute I knew he just went straight off backwards off the ledge and literally fell straight down. I just remember a huge noise when he hit the water and a yell. It was a frightening sound, to be honest. And they immediately pulled him out, and in what seemed just like seconds, that boat was gone. I guess it just reminds me what a great job the lifeboats do and how often people seem to get themselves in difficulty in the Thames, right in the middle of London.
Have you got any pain anywhere in your body?
Despite falling nearly 30 feet into a few meters of water, the casualty appears to be uninjured.
I expected him to have some serious spinal injuries, but by some miracle, by a few scratches and grazes, he was fine. Amazing. He fell off in the fetal position, backpack leading the way, went in the water, and because it was so shallow, I don't think he completely submerged all of his body at the time. I think he sort of rocked on his backpack under the water.
All right. How much you had to drink tonight? You had quite a few of you?
To fall from that height, to miss that scaffolding pole that was sticking out 6 foot away from you, and not to get swept under the pier, it could have been so much worse.
At the lifeboat station, the casualty was given the all clear and allowed to go.
He was staggeringly lucky. There were so many ways of him getting seriously injured, and he avoided them all, which was, I'm very pleased. Like, we always want a positive outcome.
Salcombe Lifeboat Station's position over 2 miles up the Kingsbridge estuary shelters it from the worst of the Atlantic storms. But every time the crew is called out, they face a hidden danger, a large sandbank lying in the mouth of the estuary.
The Salcombe bar is very treacherous. I mean, crossing the bar can be one of the most hazardous things of our job. It takes a very skilled coxswain to get that boat in over there on a rough day.
The destructive power of the bar was brought home just before dawn on the morning of the 27th of October 1916, when the local crew launched to a wrecked schooner 4 miles along the coast.
This is the old lifeboat station, so they would have come out here, rolled her down and then pulled her out and rowed out to sea.
Volunteer James Cooper's great-grandfather was one of the 15 lifeboatmen who headed out in a force 9 gale that day.
But in those days, it was just open boat, sat down inside and rowing. It had no protection from the elements at all. Rain coming down on you, sea over the top. yeah, pretty grim.
When the lifeboat reached the schooner, they discovered her sailors had already made it safely to shore. Returning home after 3 hours at sea in terrible conditions, and just a few hundred meters from the safety of the estuary, the lifeboat capsized in the huge surf breaking on the bar. Only 2 of the 15 lifeboatmen survived.
My great-grandfather was washed up on the rocks there, and they had to pull him back up, and then they carried him along the shore and back over to Rickham Farm. The boat was completely smashed to pieces, so there's bits of the boat which was recovered by other boats, and then the crew were scattered all over the place, and they weren't all found straight away. You can't really comprehend how bad it must have been, because, you know, that's a lot of men from the town gone. Yeah, you take your hat off to them, you know, because that's some bravery. That's when, as they say, men were men, because they were, you know, different sort of breed, I think, in those days, different breed.
A clear March day. The Salcombe lifeboat is called to one of the most urgent emergencies at sea. 15 miles out in the English Channel, a boat is on fire.
When there's a fire in a fishing boat, it has to be a very fast launch, because life is definitely an immediate risk.
The Salcombe crew aim to launch their Tamar-class lifeboat in 9 minutes. Today they do it in 4.
Any boat that's got a fire on is a worst nightmare, you know, because normally you've got a load of fuel on board, you've got batteries, you've got electrical kit, and like an oven really, aren't you? Everything else is going to burn and you've got nowhere to go.
If that fire's not put out, they're all going to have to abandon ship, and then it could be a search and rescue, not just a rescue.
Even at top speed, it will take the crew up to an hour to cover the 15 miles to the boat. To make matters worse, a 20-mile-an-hour wind has whipped up a large swell.
The conditions when we were heading out to that boat were fairly choppy, and it got rougher and rougher as we approached them.
50 minutes after launching, the crew spot the stricken boat, the Pamela Jill. The fire is out, but the boat is now at the mercy of the sea.
The boat lost all power, so it was adrift. The waves were rocking her quite considerably from side to side. At points, you know, it was crashing into the swell, and, you know, there's plenty of spray going over the boat as well.
The fishing boat's skipper then radios in with some alarming news.
As we got closer, we received the information that one of the crew wasn't very well. So that made the decision for me. I had to put a casualty care trained crew member, Ian, on board the beam trawler.
But between Ian and the casualty stands the increasing swell, rolling the helpless trawler with every wave.
We asked the skipper to pull his beams in, but he couldn't, obviously, because the engine was down. The beams stick out at least 20 foot. That was going to be our main obstacle when getting alongside.
Ian has only one option: to jump from the bow of the lifeboat onto the deck of the heaving fishing boat.
There was quite a bit of height difference between the boats because they were pitching so much. One boat was rolling up while the other one was going down. It was quite an awkward crossing. One slip, you could be down between both boats crashing together. As soon as the skipper thought it was time to go, he would say, right, go now, and jump.
Before he can tend to the injured casualty, Ian must make sure the engine room fire is fully out.
You could see where the exhaust ran up through the wheelhouse of the boat, and it was encased in a steel case which was still glowing red, and the whole boat stunk of smoke. But I didn't want to get in there and start digging things open, because letting more air in could have caused that fire to start again.
The casualty is conscious, but after fighting the fire is suffering from severe smoke inhalation.
He was being violently sick. He was complaining of a headache and chest pains. We had to make sure he didn't have burns in his throat as well, because he had been very close to the fire.
They need to evacuate the casualty as fast as possible. But in these conditions, the crew can't get him on board the lifeboat. The only way to get him the 50 miles to hospital now is by helicopter.
What we had to do in the meantime was just get the fishing boat under tow, so get a tow line across, secure the tow line, and pull the fishing boat at the right speed and in the right direction for the helicopter to get the safest approach for the winchman.
The crew must tow the 260-ton dead weight of the trawler at a constant speed to give the winchman any chance of landing on it.
The helicopter arrived, took a couple of turns. I think they were sussing out what was going on. The boat was moving so much that they were just waiting and waiting and waiting until they got the hang of the movement, and then bang, he was down.
Within 90 seconds, the injured fisherman is being winched back up, ready for the flight to hospital.
Hats off to, the helicopter crew. It was pretty impressive, particularly with all that rigging still out, and the conditions.
Now the casualty is finally en route to hospital in Plymouth. The Salcombe lifeboat starts the long tow of the Pamela Jill back to shore.
There is relief when that happens, when they're in the helicopter and they're on the way to hospital. We turned around and towed the fishing vessel up towards Brixham.
49-year-old first mate Sean was treated for smoke inhalation and released from hospital the next day.
Was thick smoke, yeah. So I went outside to get me breath, obviously. And I ripped the rest down, extinguished the fire. They could have easily got out of hand with wooden steps, wood cupboards. It would have spread, yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, my friend. Yeah, we was very, very lucky. Very lucky indeed.
If he hadn't gone into that fire and ripped all the cowling off and made a hole in that exhaust tunnel, that boat would have sunk. It would have burnt into the wood, and I think they would have gone down.
Over 400 miles away in the far northwest of Cumbria is the small community of Silloth. Their lifeboat station only had 10 call-outs last year.
If we start locally, the changes that are happening now is the main bank off of the slipway is moving down. That could cause a problem for us launching at low water.
Helm Steve is the most experienced crew member here, with 30 years volunteering under his belt.
Generally through the Solway, the tide gets up to about 4 knots, but up sort of past Annan, it's up to 10 knots, which is dangerous for anybody, even in a fast boat.
The Silloth patch covers the Solway Firth, an estuary leading out to the rough and unpredictable Irish Sea. It's infamous for fast tides and shifting sandbanks.
On a day like today, the Solway's beautiful. It's actually set in an area of outstanding natural beauty, and you can see why, but it hides the dangers. It's constantly changing, very dynamic. The sandbanks move, the channels move, the depth of the channels change. It is said that parts of the Solway, the tide comes in quicker than a man can run.
The sea can flood in at over 8 miles an hour off Silloth. The power of the water constantly shifting the local sandbanks, leaving large parts of the Solway uncharted.
I don't think anybody ever knows the Solway. You can catch anybody out. Anybody who thinks they know the Solway, they can be caught out.
A still February day. An emergency call comes in to Silloth Lifeboat Station. Within Within 6 minutes of being paged, the crew have their B-class inshore lifeboat on the water.
The only information that we had was that there was a lady trapped in her vehicle. She was about 6 miles down the coast, and we didn't know how far out she was.
A car, driven onto a local beach, has been swamped by the fast-rising tide, trapping the driver.
At that point, we find out she's a non-swimmer. The sense of urgency goes through the roof.
Every job we get is time critical to a degree, but for a non-swimmer who ends up in the Solway with the tides there is, then seconds count.
To make matters worse, today is a spring tide, when water floods into the estuary at its fastest and hits its highest level, rising over 30 feet at a rate of 6 feet an hour.
The force of the water is going to be pushing the car, so the car is likely to be moving. Is she in the water? Is she still attached to the vehicle in some way? And you are hoping and praying you're going to be there in time.
Since the call came in, the waters in the Solway have already risen over 1.5 feet. Even at a top speed of 35 knots, the crew are struggling to beat the tide.
You just want to be there. You want time to fast forward, and you to be there, and you to spot this person and get them in the boat, but you can only go as fast as the boat will go.
And now they face another delay. Between them and the casualty lies one of the Solway's most treacherous stretches.
You don't want to be inside the shore side of Beckfoot Buoy. It's full of large and small rocks. Some of them are big van-sized.
The crew must navigate through the huge rocks just under the surface as fast as they dare.
Hitting these rocks or the boulders risks damage to our boat or the engines, and then we're no good to anybody. We need to go slowly, which you don't want to do. You want to be there.
Suddenly, just as they clear the rocks, they spot a figure in the water.
When she phoned the Coast Guard, the water was, up to the height of the window, and we got there 12 minutes, and the water was over and on the roof of the car. She was clinging on for her dear life.
It was just quite shocking how far she is off the coastline, and how quickly the tide had come in.
When we got closer to the casualty, I actually recognised who the casualty was. Caroline's often on the beach. 9 times out of 10, she'll be with her husband, who is severely disabled.
The priority now is to find out if the casualty's husband is trapped in the submerged car.
I looked at Steve and said, "Shall I go in?" And he just gave me the nod, and I just went straight in. I got hold of the inside lip of the bonnet. The windows were open, so I'm giving the car a good sweep. I've got my arm right in as far as I could possibly go. I can feel the headrest of the front seat, the passenger seat. You are dreading the possibility of touching somebody. Was very, very, very pleased there wasn't anybody, and that was a big relief.
Having confirmed there's no one inside the vehicle, Andy swims the casualty back to the boat. As she's brought aboard, her car is completely engulfed by the tide.
If we'd got any later than we did, we would then be looking for a non-swimmer in the water. When we're talking about time-critical incidents, this was tight.
Caroline had driven onto the beach at low water searching for her lost dog. But as she tried to get back to shore, her car was caught on rocks.
The tide seemed to just come from nowhere, quite fast and furious it was, pouring in. I managed to dial 999 and they put me through to the Coast Guard, and she said to me, "Can you get out of the car?" I said, "Yeah, of course I can get out of the car." And when I tried to open the door to get out, I couldn't open the door. When I looked out of the window, water was up the side of the door. After I had said that to the lady, we got cut off. I thought the only thing I can do now is get myself onto that roof, and hopefully the tide won't go any higher than the roof before I got rescued. The vehicle was starting to sway backwards and forwards, and it was very slippery up there. It was hard maintaining my position on the roof. I took one last look round. Everything looked so huge. I was miles away from the shoreline and there was nobody. And that was at that point when I felt really all alone, nobody here. And I didn't think that we were going to make it. It had reached that point where I was going to have to hit the water. I felt as though I heard something, and when I looked around, I could see the lifeboat heading towards me, and I felt a real relief.
We know subsequently that she was ready to go into the water, over half a mile, tide running at 5 knots. A non-swimmer, no chance.
Minutes later, then it would have been a completely different outcome.
Caroline was treated for shock and hypothermia. Her missing dog made her own way safely back to shore.
I will be eternally and forever thankful to them all. If it wasn't for the split-second timing of those RNLI guys coming along at the right moment, because it was minutes really before things could have turned out to be a lot worse.
Back in Brixham, and after just 2 weeks laid up in harbour, the fire-damaged Pamela Jill is patched up and ready to set out to sea, with first mate Sean back on board.
She's back fishing again. All good, all healthy, and she lives to tell another tale. Stuff happens at sea, you just get on with it, you don't think about what's happened, you just think about where them blooming scallops are. I'll find you.
And 3 months after Joe pulled his dad unconscious from the water, the family are back on Anglesey.
Joe, it's good enough far, isn't it?
But when we came here...
I know the tide was right in here.
The tide was like there.
I know it was. Doesn't seem very far away, and yet, when you're stuck on it, and you're a bit cold, it might as well be the moon, wouldn't it? You can't get back without help.
You're still not quite big enough yet, Joe.
We've booked a holiday in Croatia. We would tend to do quite a bit of kayaking, but the water's warm, and we probably stay a little bit closer to the coast, eh?
Are we going to get into this vehicle somehow and find there's somebody stuck in there?
Any slight movement runs the risk of doing further damage.
Everybody was watching this woman kind of drowning in glorious technicolor.
We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. For many, it's a playground. For others, it's where we earn our living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant. And when accidents happen, they happen very fast.
On the sea, you have to expect the unexpected. It will just turn around and bite you.
Mayday!
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of nearly 5,000 ordinary people.
When the pager goes off, we don't know what the shout is, where it is, how many people are involved. It could be anything.
Where do you feel the pain, Alex?
My back and my leg and my neck.
Stuart, just hold the boat.
I am so thankful that they came.
Things could have turned out to be a lot worse.
I've had people drown in front of me. Before we've got there, that person's gone.
Calm down, you're okay, pal.
Equipped with their own cameras,
My light flashing. Yeah, mine.
the crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it. Speeding through the roughest weather, searching for people who may only have moments to live.
Go!
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
The decisions we make on a lifeboat can all mean the difference between life or death.
The 5,000 lifeboat volunteers around the UK and Ireland come from many different walks of life.
Can I have a card, please?
But all are willing to give up part of their own lives to save those of others.
It's a real good thing to do. It's a joy. It's very rewarding. It's very special. It's very unique. Not everybody can get on, put on those yellow willies and go to sea.
44-year-old volunteer crew member Neville doesn't just give up his free time to save lives, it's his day job too. He's a winchman and paramedic for the Coast Guard helicopter in the southeast of Ireland.
You know, when I come here, I'm committed to be here. Obviously, this is my profession. This is what I do for a living. So when I come on shift, we do a 24-hour shift. So I'm here for that 24 hours, no matter what. And at that period, I'm just unavailable to the lifeboat. But as soon as I get home, the bleeper goes on for the lifeboat, and I'm ready to go with them. Okay, you found him. Can you rescue him? Over. Yes. And so you're jumping into the water? Yes. Go for it.
Neville lives with his wife Melissa and their 3 young boys in the small town of Dunmore East. They've grown used to him always being on call.
Especially in our situation now, somebody has to be here to mind the kids and that. So, you know, that's my job for the moment.
In general, I think lifeboat crew, their wives are the partners. I think they're the core of any good lifeboat station. I couldn't run out the door without Melissa taking up the slack behind. You know, that makes it doable, and for her support, it makes me able to do what I do, and I'm very appreciative of that.
In the 19th century, Dunmore East was a major fishing port, but these days the town has a population of just over 1,800.
Lovely little quaint fishing village. I fell in love with the place when I came down here from day one. I don't think I could leave it now. I fell in love with the whole place straight away.
It's a community where everyone knows everybody. If the lifeboat goes out, most of the village know about it.
Over the years, the lifeboat crews here have been awarded 17 medals for gallantry, and their patch covers some infamously unforgiving seas. August, the height of the tourist season. Dunmore East receive an emergency call from the Coast Guard.
The kids have just gone to bed, and it's that moment at home where you kind of relax and you hit the couch, and you know you can breathe. Bleeper goes. Typical, you know, you quick peck in the cheek and out the door, we're gone.
The rugged beauty of this coast attracts sailors from all over the world. But its position close to where the Irish Sea and Atlantic meet can create treacherous conditions.
The dangers of the waters around here is the weather changing quickly. Maybe combined with tides changing, can catch someone out very quickly.
2 miles away out at sea, a small boat is in trouble and taking on water. 7 minutes after the call, the station's Trent all-weather lifeboat is launched.
We found out there was a motor vessel that had rope wrapped up around its propeller that was after stopping the engine and stopped the propeller from turning.
He was a few miles away from here only, a matter of 20 minutes sailing. It's just the nature of the weather was a concern, and potential with darkness and weather getting worse was a concern for us.
Dusk is approaching. And to make matters worse, the sea conditions start to deteriorate as soon as the lifeboat hits open water.
There was a gale that day. There was a good swell as well as we were going away down along the shore towards where the boat was.
The crew soon locate the boat. Not only is the rope caught around its propeller, but it's attached to lobster pots on the seabed, anchoring the boat in place.
We came on scene and we could see that you could see the rope in the water and it was tight, that the boat couldn't move. The water was breaking over the stern of the motor vessel as well, so there was water on the deck.
The 75-year-old skipper on board is uninjured. But for at least an hour, the boat has been stuck stern to the swell, taking on water with every wave. The crew also fear the boat may have been damaged below the waterline by the force of the rope pulling on the propeller.
I think the biggest concern at the point is how much water he had taken on, because we didn't know exactly how long he'd been stuck.
He must be wrapped well under the prop there.
The boat sinking was a concern, and if the wind was picking up, it would be major problems for that boat.
The plan was to try and get the rope out of the propeller, so it was a matter of putting a couple of the crew members across from the lifeboat onto the boat.
Bring a gaff across.
Bring a gaff across.
Try and get it rope.
To yourself and John.
Yeah.
We need to send the third man.
Neville and John prepare to transfer across to the boat. Using a long boat hook, they're going to try and free the ropes around the propeller.
That man needed our help. I was gone on board to help him, and John with me, and you know, we'll do what we can do to get him.
This side. Yeah.
But in these conditions, getting from the 28-ton Trent class to the smaller motorboat is a dangerous manoeuvre.
Trying to get a big lifeboat against it in a bad swell, it can be pretty hairy at times. The swell was big, so as the lifeboat would kind of go up on the swell, the smaller boat would kind of go down. So it was a tricky job.
Us knowing when is the right time to jump, that's a judgment call on the day. You know, the worst place you can be is miss a step, because you're going down in between two boats, and that's not going to be very good for anyone.
Neville makes it across on his first attempt.
I do remember Neville, the two boats were right next to each other. He just stepped off one and onto the other one. When it was my turn, I waited, and it was a case of judging the right time to make the jump. It's the best way I could describe it is like real life Super Mario Brothers.
Just as John starts his attempt, the swell forces the two boats apart.
I remember the mechanic saying to me, "Don't listen to anybody else, you'll know when it's time to go."
You coming? Come. Come on, go, John. Go. Have you. That's okay.
I remember just about making it. I remember at the top of my life jacket, the strap being grabbed. I don't know if I was going to fall backwards or not, but I remember him hauling me aboard onto that boat.
All right, how are you? That's right. Go, John, yourself.
Quickly establishing the skipper is okay, their first priority is to free the boat from the lobster pots to stop it taking on more water.
For me to actually snag the rope, I had to blindly sweep underneath. So yeah, it took a bit of a while to actually snag the rope itself, because it is underneath the boat and you can't see it. So to actually snag it was difficult in the first place.
The crew still have no idea how much water the boat's already taken on board, or how much longer she'll stay afloat.
It was tricky to get to that line and sweeping with the knife, and I just wanted to keep my centre of gravity over the boat as much as possible, rather than being out over the stern.
Here, John. We're coming. Wait for the sea.
Finally, the lines are cut and the boat is free. Now the crew must find out how close she is to sinking.
Check the port engine, I'd say, yeah.
was hoping to see no water whatsoever, but I knew there was going to be water in there because I had seen it coming in over the stern of it. But really, I suppose it's the amount, and that's what I was looking for, is how much water have we in there.
Below deck is almost entirely flooded. The crew can't tell if it's from the swell coming in over the stern or damage to her hull below the waterline.
She's good, she's 3/4 way up there now. Yeah.
We realised that the engine compartment is almost full of water. We're asking ourselves the question, is there a leak in a pipe underneath? Is water come in from the hull? We didn't know where this water is coming from.
Is your billy, John?
The boat is fitted with a bilge pump, which is meant to pump out any water from below deck.
As far as I know it is, yeah. It's automatic.
It should be automatic, but she's not.
Neville, I remember, spoke to the skipper of this boat, and they decided we can drive it in, and with the lifeboat with us in case anything goes wrong. I remember being down on my knees just watching this water the whole time for the trip back into the harbour here in Dunmore East.
What? It's all right. About half full, is it? Yeah. Okay.
His bilge pump, he was getting rid of more water than we were taking on, so, you know, that's always a good thing.
You see the headland there? Yeah. We're just past that about half a mile and we'll be into the port. Is that it? Yeah. Once you cross that headline right.
The skipper, 75-year-old James, makes regular fishing trips along this stretch of coast. The wind was rising to force 6 when he struck the lines of the lobster pot.
When I got stuck on the rope, it was scary. All you hear is the wind. It was dark, cloudy, unpleasant. There was nothing I could do. I sat there and I was very nearly tempted to start smoking again. I had an old packet of cigarettes in the boat and I was very nearly tempted. I said, there's a good chance I might never drink another pint again, and if I ever went back smoking, I'd probably never have another cigarette. So I looked at the cigarettes and I took one out and I put it back in the pack and I didn't bother. And then I got sight of the lifeboat, which was great, you know, very reassuring. Best sight you can see. Very, very comforting. It's certainly not an experience I'd like to have again. And it's also, it's a lesson to all mariners. It's very foolish to go out single-handed in any kind of an unpleasant sea, you know. And I've learned my lesson from it anyway. I hope.
The crew escorted James to the safety of Dunmore East Harbour, where his boat was repaired.
He was a pretty cool character anyway, I think. You know, it'd be hard to phase him, you know, but I think he was relieved to get out of it, especially, you know. He came across as a fairly experienced sailor, so he probably knew, you know, the loss of light as it was getting dark and all that. He probably knew the dangers that were involved there and the potential dangers. So, you know, I think he was very, very aware of where he was.
If the lifeboat didn't get to me, when they did, and I was left on the boat, I mightn't be here now talking to you.
For all volunteers, being on call 24/7, 365 days a year, comes at a cost.
Being on the crew, you make certain sacrifices. You know, we leave our partners in restaurants, local shops, play parks, and they put up with a lot, and we couldn't do it without them.
My pager just has a habit of going off when I'm out with my wife's family. I don't know if that's a sign or not, but it always happens.
I think your family get used to it. You know, it's a way of life. Once you attach that pager, you have a service to do.
The whole family makes a sacrifice, because when you disappear out the door, you may not come back. And that is a really sobering thought.
You're in a perilous place. You're doing things that you wouldn't normally do in your life. You're taking risks that you wouldn't normally take.
It's all about saving lives at sea. We put ourselves in dangerous positions. We put our lives at risk as well. That's what we all sign up for.
volunteering for the lifeboat, you give up your time, but the sacrifice of your time is rewarded in return much more.
1, 2, 3.
Somebody helped far outweighs the time you give up, the sacrifices you make.
In North Wales, the lifeboat crew in Rhyl watch over a stretch of coastline that pulls in hordes of holidaymakers.
Rhyl's a typical seaside town. Certainly this area gets heavily populated in the summer. People do keep coming back every year. It must just be the fresh sea air. Some of the sunsets we get here are absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful place to live. I've lived in Rhyl all my life. Wouldn't really want to live anywhere else, to be honest with you.
When 36-year-old Vinny isn't giving up his free time to save lives at sea, he's patrolling the shore as a traffic officer.
I love my job, and there's not many people who could probably say that about the work. The most rewarding side of my job is looking after people, and sometimes comforting the families is just as important as actually attending the collision.
Vinny's been a volunteer crew member at Rhyl for 19 years, but when he's on duty as a police officer, he can't head out on shouts.
Switching that pager off means that I know I won't be able to go and help anybody if they need it and on the sea. The only saving grace from that really is the fact that I'm still doing a job where I'm helping people.
A warm Saturday night in May. The Rhyl crew are paged. There are reports of a person in the water.
I'd been at work all day, I'd not long got in, and then the pager goes off. So, off down the boathouse.
All the crew know is that someone's in trouble in the sea just off Rhyl Beach.
My biggest concern was the fact that we didn't know a lot of information. You can work on facts and you can plan on facts. You can't really plan on the unknown.
Okay, power on, yeah? Okay, try and get a searchlight out. Ready, please, Charlie?
Will we have to search for them? Will we be able to find them straight away? We don't know where they're going to be, what conditions they're going to be in. So it's like, you know, you've got to prepare really for the worst.
Don't know any reason as to why they're in the water, any description of them, or how long they've been there, okay? So, obviously, concern is it might be there a while, etc., all right?
The station's small D-class inshore lifeboat is launched within 10 minutes, with Vinny at the helm.
It was certainly a quick launch. The person in the water, generally you do try to rush things up a little bit more.
Where are they?
The casualty's at the western end of the beach. It's just half a mile from the lifeboat station. But with a casualty in the water, every second is critical.
Although it had been a nice day, the water's still very cold. If you go into the water, you get the cold shock.
Try and hold it a bit higher if you can, so it doesn't go on the sponson, thank you.
It's very difficult to search on the inshore lifeboat in the dark. You have only got a couple of torches. Your senses are working overtime, and especially when you're searching for a person in the water, the only part of that person you'll probably see is their head. And sometimes, if they're close inshore, the background lighting from the promenade can have an adverse effect because your eyes are drawn to that and you can't really see. You have to just take your time and it becomes a very methodical search.
There's a light on the beach there!
As they begin their search, an update comes in from the Coast Guard. There are 2 people in the water, not one, and both are teenage boys. The initial emergency call was made by the worried mother of one boy from 60 miles away in Lancashire.
I wasn't on the holiday, so Michael would video call me, so I still felt part of the holiday, even though I couldn't be there.
Kirsty's husband Michael had taken the 2 teenage friends, Lewis and Ryan, on holiday. That evening, they were playing football on the beach.
I thought it'd be nice for Ryan's mum to see what the boys were up to, so I did take a couple of pictures on my phone of them playing football. Lewis kicked the ball to Ryan and it went into the sea, so Lewis then stripped down to his boxers and ran in to get the ball. I took a picture of that, him and Ryan running to get the ball. The video call went black, so I couldn't see anything at all, but I could hear everything.
Within a few minutes, I realised Lewis had got into difficulty, and that's when I run in straight after him.
He went under for about 5 seconds each time. It was a shock to him. He just couldn't hold his breath and
It was just sheer panic, really. With being not a strong swimmer myself, it was sort of panicking about, obviously, can I save Lewis? What's going to happen to Lewis?
I could hear Michael screaming to Lewis to go on his back. And shortly after that is when the phone went dead.
You're trying to get to him, it's just going further and further away, and he's struggling, you can't help him. It's just a terrible feeling.
Okay, what we'll do, guys, we'll go ashore anyway, see if they need any help. You can ditch the lake now, please.
When the crew arrive, Michael's managed to get the two boys out of the sea and back to the beach. But that doesn't mean they're out of danger.
When we got on scene, there was two boys sat on the wall, which was about 25 metres away from the shoreline at the time.
Hello there. So who's been in the water? Both of you? Yeah. Okay.
One boy, Lewis, he was in quite a bad way. He had obviously been in the water. He'd been suffering the effects of the cold. He was shaking, shivering, and when we did the initial assessment of him, his breathing rate was really high. He was a concern, a big concern.
Okay, listen, what we're going to do is going to put this mask over you. All it is oxygen, okay? Because your breathing rate's a bit high, okay, it's going to help you breathe. Just breathe naturally and normally.
With no ambulance on scene yet, it's down to the lifeboat crew to try and keep the casualties conscious and stable.
We recognised straight away that we need to administer oxygen. You've got to make sure, yes, they're out the water and they're safe, and then that's when you can have what's called post-rescue collapse, whereby the body will stop fighting because they realise they are safe, they think they're safe. Oh, I'm going to be okay now, the lifeboat's here. And all of a sudden, they can deteriorate very quickly.
Yeah, Lewis, how long were you in the water for, fella?
I don't know.
You don't know? All right, did you swallow any water? You have, yeah? Okay, bud.
From his training as a police officer, Vinny knows how vital communication is with a casualty immediately after a traumatic incident.
It's really important to keep them talking and to keep them focused as well, because it gives them something to focus on.
Got anything to eat today, Lewis? What did you have for tea, bud? Hot noodle? Oh, diet of champions, that fella. Charlie, how's little man doing? Yeah? Breathing's 4, normal, yeah? Cat refill normal?
The other teenager, he was poorly, but he wasn't as bad. He didn't need oxygen at that point. He was okay, and he was a bit more alert than the other casualty.
Hold that? Yeah, cat refill. Wow. That's okay.
You could see Lewis was in a very poorly state. I knew straight away he needed to get to a hospital quickly, because there's only so much we can do.
All right, to try and do is stay awake from me.
To Vinny's concern, there's still no word on when the ambulance will arrive. Lewis's condition starts to deteriorate.
At times, he was starting to close his eyes, and that's when you start realising that the body is really struggling to do the primary functions, really, or they're shutting down everything else in order to keep the heart going and the lungs breathing.
Just a bit of information, one of the casualties is just starting to drift in and out of consciousness. So we've got the basket stretcher and we're assisting in giving first aid. Just wanted to give you that update, over.
We spoke to the Coast Guard a couple of times, asking them what's the estimated time of arrival for the ambulance, and we just kept getting told there isn't one. There wasn't they couldn't give us a time. I was preparing myself to have to give Lewis and Ryan the care they needed for maybe up to an hour, and that's what I had at the back of my head as well. But we weren't getting information, so we just had to go on what we were being told.
I'll let you know when we have any care, over.
It's always a long wait, waiting for the ambulance. Yeah, and this felt long. What I really didn't want is an unconscious casualty, because then you're into the realms of having to do CPR, and it's very difficult to bring somebody back.
25 minutes after the lifeboat crew arrived, the paramedics reached the scene.
It's a massive weight off my shoulders when The paramedics turn up, they're the experts at that stage, and you know, once I've handed over to them, it's a case of, okay, it's done.
How are you feeling, Lewis? It's a bit rotten. What we need to do, mate, is put you in the back of the ambulance, okay?
Lewis and his family are regulars at Real Beach, but the strength of the currents took them all by surprise.
When you got out of the water, you just looked really white with really blue lips. Thinking I was going to lose Lewis, it really scared me because he was just one of my closest mates. So it's like one of the scariest things I've been through.
I was feeling quite scared. To be honest, I thought I was going to drown.
When Lewis got out of the water, I was just really happy because I didn't lose one of my best mates. And it was just a really good relief to see him alive.
Lewis was taken to hospital 3 miles away and treated for shock, cuts and bruises. He was discharged 4 hours later.
It was a huge relief. I didn't realise how petrified I was until after it all finished, and I could thank my lucky stars that Lewis was okay.
I think this could have happened to anybody. They probably just thought, I'll go and get the ball. How hard can it be? I'm sure they've reflected on it, and they've probably thought, if it happens again, through experience, they'll probably just let the ball go.
The football cost $4.99. It wasn't worth it. You know, we've got 5 footballs at home. You know, I don't understand why he'd run out after the $4.99 football.
I genuinely believe that had we not have got involved when we did, then certainly Lewis, it could have been fatal. Yeah, I'd say it was a life saved.
In North Cornwall, 28-year-old Adam has been a volunteer for 11 years. In his day job, he's a doctor, working 60-hour weeks at the hospital in Truro.
The sacrifice of being a volunteer for the RNLI is you have to accept that a degree of freedom will be lost.
Adam commutes over 230 miles for his volunteer shifts.
I think people are surprised when I say I volunteer for the lifeboat because they always say, where do you find the time? And my response is, I don't need to find the time because it's just a way of life.
Adam started volunteering at Tower Lifeboat Station when he was living in London, studying to be a doctor. 5 years on, he still returns to put in regular shifts.
Tower Lifeboat is a complete contrast to the north coast of Cornwall. The Thames is one of the most dangerous waterways that I've seen in my career.
Launching over 500 times a year, Tower are the busiest of all the lifeboat stations across the UK and Ireland.
If I had the choice, I would rather get in trouble in the sea. I feel like I could escape that. The undercurrents in the Thames and the unknown dangers are something that scares me when I'm on the Thames.
July is the height of the tourist season, and the Thames is packed with boats of all shapes and sizes. Tower Station receives an emergency call. A man has been spotted in the water under a pier near Canary Wharf. But the crew are at the opposite end of the 15-mile stretch of river they cover.
We were actually training at the time, and an immediate call came through on the radio from the Marine Police that somebody was in the water, clinging to a post within an enclosed pier. When the radio call comes through, immediate person in the water, a sense of urgency floods through your body.
The Thames River Police radio in with an update.
As more information was coming through from the radio, it became clear that the casualty was in a position that nobody could help him. The police wanted the lifeboat there now.
We could hear in the police's voice that something was not quite right about this job. They kept saying, no, we've got to wait for the lifeboat, we've got to wait for the lifeboat.
Time is critical on the Thames when responding to shouts. We may get called to someone who's entered the water, who can be seen, By the time we get there, all that we can see is the palm of their hand before they go under.
The crew cover the 10 miles across London within 14 minutes, but they still have very little information about the casualty or his intentions.
We had no way of knowing how long he'd been in the water, whether he had any injuries, whether this was a deliberate attempt to enter the water.
A police officer is trying to coax the casualty out from the water under the network of wooden legs supporting the pier.
He was holding on tightly to one of the uprights, and so he couldn't be reached from where we was. There was only one option for us, and that was that someone was going to have to enter the water.
The tide is flooding in, and the pier sits on a large bend in the river which accelerates the water flow even more.
It's just a dangerous environment to be, so we won't enter the water unless we really have to. It's not a place you want to be. It's a last resort for us, really.
Taking a rope with him, Steve gets into the fast-flowing water.
This casualty wasn't safe despite us arriving on scene. We had to act quickly.
I'd go along the wall, Kingy.
This casualty had let go. The potential is that he would have disappeared into the murky water and we wouldn't have been able to rescue him.
Steve makes it safely to the casualty, but the man remains completely unresponsive.
He was very cold. He seemed confused. He was obviously very distressed, and we couldn't get any conversation out of him at all. He wasn't going to let go of the upright, so I tried to get a inflated life jacket around him. He decided he didn't want that and tried to deflate it. In the end, it was a case of actually getting hold of him just to get him off the upright and over to safety.
Well done.
I managed to get him and swim backwards over to where there were other crew.
We improvised. We used actually one of the bow lines from the police boat that was in the water, and we used the large loop in it to secure the casualty.
That's it, Steve, well done.
He was then safe and we could keep his head above water and we could plan on how we were going to get him out of the enclosed pier.
All right, we got him.
The only way the crew can get the casualty to the lifeboat is through a narrow gap under the beam.
Pass that line over.
But with the rising tide, the gap is fast disappearing.
Got him. Yeah.
We had a very small window to get the casualty out through them piles. If we'd left it a few more minutes, we'd have lost that gap.
Let go of that. Let go of that.
But the rope attached to him is too short to let the casualty underneath.
Go through that loop and hold his hand. Hold his hand. Hold his hand. Right. Slack on the line. Yeah. Slack on the line. Right, line slack.
Without the rope holding him, the casualty is swept out of the pier and towards the lifeboat. The crew's next challenge is to pull the unresponsive man on board.
When you're lifting casualties out of the water, fully clothed, with shoes on, it takes two strong people to lift them over the gunwale of the lifeboat, and even then, we struggled.
At the front.
Yeah, I think his body was at the point of giving up, and I think that reflected in how difficult it was to get him into the lifeboat. Yeah.
There you go, mate. All right.
All crew members are trained in basic first aid, but with a casualty in a serious condition as this, Adam takes the lead.
He's a doctor at the end of the day. He's a professional medical person, so any professional medical person alongside us is going to be a bonus.
Keep going.
I have a duty of care to patients as well, and I think if you don't sensibly use your skills outside of the hospital, then there's no point having them at all. He looked scared. Being in the water, he was cold, he was shocked.
You alright? What's your name? What's your name?
I think he understood that he'd nearly lost his life.
Adam administers oxygen to try and keep the casualties stable.
All right, just relax.
You worry in this situation that the casualty is going to deteriorate further. We were very lucky in this instance that Stan had arranged the ambulance to meet us at Wapping, which was only 2 or 3 minutes away.
I've known Mayo in the water for roughly 20 minutes. He hasn't lost consciousness at any time.
Roughly 20 minutes? Once he was in a safe location and the paramedics had arrived, I popped a drip into his left arm and it allowed time for the paramedics to conduct their primary survey.
The casualties taken to hospital and the lifeboat crew depart, uncertain as to his future or why he was in the water in the first place.
I think sometimes it can leave you a little bit empty after a shout. The loop isn't completed, is it, until you hear back from the casualty families or friends. But actually, we left that day knowing that we did everything we could for him. We've given him an opportunity now. It's about second chances, and we often pull people out of the water who may just need a second chance, and he may be one of them.
I think we could safely say that that was a life saved. Saving someone's life is really what it's all about, and the feeling that you get from that makes it all worthwhile. And it is just such a good feeling. You feel like you've really done something good.
Of the 8,000 shouts they launch to around the coast every year, the lifeboat crews are often pushed to their mental and physical limits.
You have to be reasonably strong, dealing with rope work all the time, trying to get people in and out of the boats. You definitely need to be a tough insider now.
Whoa! We've got to get away.
You do have to have a mental resolve to go to sea. That mental resolve comes in having faith with the people you're out on the boat with.
It's scary. Any lifeboatman that says they're not scared or have a certain amount of fear when they go out there is telling lies.
If you're the helm of the boat, the last thing your crew wants is you looking worried. Even if inside I'm thinking, oh, that was close. But you keep that to yourself.
There's been times on the shout where I've been freezing cold and wet, and sometimes you question what's the rationale for being out here. But then you look around at your friends and your mates sat next to you, and you think of someone out there that needs your help, and those doubts soon drift away.
On the rugged North Yorkshire coast lies Redcar, a once thriving steel town. The lifeboat station here was founded in 1802, making it one of the oldest in the country.
Redcar's situated between the sea, the industry, and the North York moors, and as a result, the coastline and the people who use the sea, we get a mix of all types. It can be commercial ships from the River Tees, it can be fishing boats that operate out off the beach at Redcar, it can be hill walkers who are walking along the Cleveland Way.
Heading southeast down the coast, Redcar's long sandy beaches give way to a dramatic and dangerous landscape.
We have 7 or 8 miles of golden sand. As we follow the coastline down towards the Yorkshire cliffs, the cliffs rise from the beach up to 300, 400 feet high.
Take the weight, steady. 1, 2, 3.
Although their motto is saving lives at sea, a large number of the crew's shouts are to people on the shoreline.
Steady. Really slowly.
And like many stations, Redcar regularly train for cliff rescues.
The whole ethos of lifeboating is teamwork, and teamworking is built on trust. Having absolute trust that everybody around you will do what's required to be done. And that trust is built up through training. We spend time together. It is a family. And within that family, we absolutely trust each other.
A still June night, the lifeboat station receives an emergency call. Someone has called 999 asking for help. The caller was alone at the top of a cliff.
So our initial tasking was to search for a missing person beneath the cliffs, and they had received a phone call from the ambulance service to say that the person was threatening self-harm.
These types of shouts are very urgent. The way I prepare is expect the worst and hope for the best. I think if you imagine the worst possible situation you can, anything you come across, you're not going to be too shocked.
It's always important to bring back any casualty. Our aim is to always bring back a person, and we want the best outcome. Even in the event that that's not possible, you still want to bring that person home. They have loved ones, and bringing that person back to their loved ones is the most important thing. As lifeboat crews, we will always endeavour to do our best. But yes, it is difficult, and it's also difficult to place your mind in their head, because I don't understand why they potentially want to do what they're doing. But that's not for me to decide. All I'm there to do is help.
The station launches both its inshore lifeboats, the larger Atlantic 85 and the smaller D-Class, or IB-1.
The IB-1 can get ashore easily under the cliffs. It's easily to be handled on the shore edge, and we can put crew ashore to either recover a body or search for a person. And then we use the 85 as a communications link. Because of the height of the cliffs, we lose VHF coverage, so the Atlantic can stand off a little bit and relay messages.
In calm seas, both lifeboats speed through the night. Arriving at the cliffs and with a difficult search ahead of them, the crews must now get their eyes adjusted to the darkness.
Fortunately, we had the full moon, but under the cliffs, that's in the shadow of the moon, and so absolutely pitch black.
Your eyes feel.
Operating in the dark is obviously a lot more risky. Humans are not designed to see well in the dark, so everything we do has to be a bit more calculated. We have to be very much more careful navigating the boat and safe speed.
Red Cross, Red Car Lifeboat. Good evening. We see your white lights. Our intention is to go down to Bird, Flight, Goit and search back towards you.
The Coast Guard are searching the top of the cliffs, but have found no trace of the person who called 999. It's the Red Car crew's job to search the bottom of the cliffs.
I almost said we're used to doing these calls. We're not used to doing them. We're used to getting those calls. If the individual has done that and have taken their life, then what we're trying to do is bring closure for a family and bring them back the body. Or otherwise, we're trying to ensure that they're not there and they're not going to spend a night out in the cold and that they'll get the help that they need. These calls are, make no mistake, horrendous to deal with. It's violent and it's extremely traumatic for anybody to go and deal with that incident. So you cannot get used to it. It's something that we deal with. You know, it's something that we have to adapt to as a crew. That it is more regular, and it's something that we need to, we need to think about how we're managing those calls, particularly for younger crew members.
When you start walking ashore, what you really want to do is actually find nothing. You want that person to be safe and warm and at home, and it to be a false alarm with good intent. You never want to actually find the person, but if you have been given the facts that they are there, then obviously we want to find that person and get them out as safely as possible.
Once on the beach, the crews start to systematically sweep along a 2-mile stretch of cliffs.
Some trousers here.
The crews on the 2 lifeboats are also scanning the area from just offshore.
Red Car ILB, Lifeboat Alpha, over.
Lifeboat Alpha, roger that, we'll head there now. Out. The other 2 boats were giving us targets to investigate.
10 metres ahead. There's a log there.
You're just about upon the first white mark we spotted on the beach from the seaward side.
ILB Alpha, roger, that's a large lump of wood, over.
We're looking for a person, looking for any items of clothing or personal effects that may have come down off the high cliffs. So obviously you're scanning with a torch and searchlights to try and pick up anything that just doesn't look as if it should be at the bottom of a cliff.
No, I can't see anything.
Yeah, you're just not on that mark now, Steve. There's another mark about 15 foot up the cliff face, about where you are.
It's just a big flat rock. Nothing there.
Just watch yourself, because all these rocks are loose. Sliding all over the place.
The base of the cliffs is a dangerous place. Big rocks covered in seaweed, very slippy underfoot.
Have to watch as these rocks are getting a bit of green on them now. Start getting slippy.
That night we had to not only search for a possible casualty, you had to also watch where you're putting your feet.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, bloody hell.
The terrain was precarious at best. Lots of large boulders, some were green, very slippy where the tide had been in, full tide. So I myself fell quite a few times.
You are? Oh! Oh, yeah. Good job I've got big arms.
This particular shout was probably the hardest I've done this year. More physically, it was quite tough going, but yes, definitely under the cliffs is one of the hardest jobs we do.
Right, guys, hold on. There's something there.
After nearly an hour of searching, Steve suddenly spots something amongst the rocks.
You're almost preparing yourself when you scan around the torch. Any second you could be coming across a body.
What's that there?
When I first looked, I thought it actually looked like remnants of a body.
It's like a leg or something. What the hell is that?
Neil come over and he had a second look. He was like a fresh pair of eyes, and he gave it a little tap with his boot.
Seaweed on top of some polystyrene. Yeah.
Fortunately, Steve's discovery is a piece of polystyrene foam washed up on the shore. The crew move on and continue to comb the beach.
With the focus being on trying to find a casualty, I think the dark does tend to play tricks with you, and you just focus on finding a body. And I think every little thing that looks like it shouldn't be there, that then becomes the casualty.
I think this is a cut-off point.
After a 2-hour search along 2 miles of rocky beach, the lifeboat crew are unable to find any trace of the person who dialed 999.
It's difficult to keep going. As the night goes on, you get more and more tired, but you know that there could be somebody literally 10 feet away from you, and you just haven't found them yet. So until we're asked to stop searching, or we've completed the task we were given, then we'll keep going.
We can't do much more. The lads have done a thorough search from where we dropped them off all the way around to where they are now.
That night, we come to the end of our search area. We'd finished searching what we were tasked to do, and we'd come across nothing.
In terms of what happened to the casualty, we don't know, but I do hope that they were safe and well, and it was a false alarm with good intent.
The crew must return to base with no idea what happened to the person they were called out to.
I think the crew are always disappointed that they haven't been able to locate a person, especially if we genuinely believe that person is still missing. It's always difficult to stand down and go home.
Humber Coast Guard, Red Car Lifeboat, that's us recarriage, ready for our next service. Over.
Roger, sir. Many thanks for this evening, and we'll speak to you next time. Over.
Good night. Out.
In Wales, Cardigan Bay is a rugged coastline which stretches over 100 miles, watched over by 10 lifeboat stations. At At the southern end of the bay, one station is based in the small town of New Quay.
In the summer months, it goes from being a sleepy fishing village with about 600-700 people to maybe 12, 13, 15,000 people. You've got people doing paddle boarding lessons, you've got people swimming, kayakers and people in lilos floating around. You've got everybody that's on holiday that wants to use their boat that one time of the year. They'll be out there, either they're sailing or they're in powered vessels. It can be a very busy patch of water.
And the busiest time of year on this patch of water is the August bank holiday.
I was in the shop, my phone went, and it was my girlfriend. She was on a boat down by Aberporth. She'd seen someone falling out of a boat and the boat carrying on without anybody in it. Next thing, the pager goes off, so I run down to the boathouse. I know what's going on, so I'm informing a couple of the people that were there what's happening.
5 miles away, a speedboat is running out of control. The immediate risk to life and limb means the inshore lifeboat launches with just 2 crew on board.
This was bank holiday, a stunning day, flat calm, all the beaches, they'll all be chock-a-block. People will be swimming. If that boat heads towards those beaches, it's likely to cause someone a lot of damage. It could even head up the beach and start hitting people, depending on the speed of the craft.
The boat is at least 20 minutes away and there's still no news about its occupants. If they're in the water, every minute's delay increases the risk of them being hit by the vessel or its propeller.
Is anybody who's fallen out of the boat in the path of this out-of-control boat? You might dodge it once, might dodge it twice, but it's going to keep coming. I've known people having life-altering injuries and people unfortunately dying because they've been hit by their own boat that they've just fallen out of. So that was my immediate thought.
After a frantic dash down the coast, the crew approached the area where the boat was last spotted.
We rounded Lochtin Head. We could see stuff in the distance because there was a few boats that were watching, but it's difficult to get a perception of what beach they were off. Once we got past Llangrannog and Traethbach, we could see the boat going around in circles.
We're on scene, just informing the vessels going around in circles, speed approximately 4 or 5 knots.
The Coast Guard informs the crew the Rib's skipper has been picked up by another vessel uninjured. But the boat is now dangerously out of control.
Once the Coast Guard told me that the casualty was safe, immediately that was out of my mind. However, I looked at the beach and the beach was particularly close. I was quite shocked at how close we were to the beach.
Speed approximately 4 or 5 knots, and it's 200 yards off the beach, over.
The crew must now work out how to stop the boat without risk to the holidaymakers on the nearby beaches.
They probably wouldn't be able to see what was going on. Maybe they thought someone was messing around in their boat, just going round and round out there. So maybe they'd come even closer to have a closer look.
Lifeboat crews train for most eventualities at sea, but Brett has never come up against a situation like this.
I've always thought about what you'd do if you met a boat that was out of control. It is a little bit like some sort of rodeo experience. You need to be able to drive that boat particularly well to get close to it and not put you and your crew in danger. Once you get near that boat, then it's got a chance to ride up on top of you. Obviously, we're not protected from a spinning propeller.
Brett's plan is to get close enough to drop some rope into the water to entangle the propeller, stall the engine and bring the boat under control. But if he gets his timing wrong or hits the boat, he could send it careering off towards the people on the beach at full speed.
So I decided that I would take these oval curves around it. Every time it did maybe 3 revolutions, I'd meet it once and try and just see if we can get in front of it. So I did that 2, maybe 3 times. On that 3rd time, I clipped the back end of the boat. That suddenly straightened the engine up. It was now headed straight towards that packed beach. At the speed that that boat was going, it would have only been 30 seconds and it would have been up the beach. I knew I had to stop it somehow. I just throttled on as hard as I could. When we got alongside it, Simon jumped on board.
Just a few seconds away from the shore, Simon gets the runaway boat under control.
I've never jumped in an unmanned boat before, especially at speed, but at that time I had no choice and I was willing to put myself at risk to save other people getting hurt.
Once that boat straightened up and started heading towards the beach, that was because of us. We just sent this missile over without those people knowing it was coming. So instantly I knew I had to stop it somehow. It was just massive relief and a bit of a sort of Yahoo moment.
On the coast of Ireland, James is undaunted by his close encounter with the lobster pot lines and still heads out to sea for regular fishing trips.
Since the rescue, every time I see the lifeboat, I think about it. I'll be forever grateful to the Dunmore East lifeboat and, in fact, all the lifeboats in Ireland. Hopefully it'll never happen to me again, touch wood.
It hasn't put you off going out on your boat?
No, not in the slightest. It has made me more alert. There's nothing as delightful as to be out in a boat on a day like today.
In Lancashire, 14-year-old Lewis is still getting over his close call in the waters off Rill Beach.
He's been quite unsettled since it's happened. He's been quite withdrawn. Slowly but surely this week he's been coming out of his shell. I'm really determined to get him back to Rill Beach because I believe that he should face his fears as long as you respect Mother Nature and know that she is dangerous. But be careful.
There's an old saying among sailors that a storm long forecast lasts long.
It was just epic. It was biblical. I knew that he wasn't just 2 lads playing. You know, this was somebody who needed help.
Wait up!
It then dawned suddenly on myself that this might not end well.
Ready? Ready?
We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. For many, it's a playground. For others, it's where we earn our living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant. And when accidents happen, they happen very fast.
On the sea, you have to expect the unexpected. It will just turn around and bite you.
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of nearly 5,000 ordinary people.
When the pager goes off, we don't know what the shout is, where it is, how many people are involved. It could be anything.
Where do you feel the pain, Alex?
My back and my leg and my neck.
Stuart, just hold the boat.
I am so thankful that they came.
Things could have turned out to be a lot worse.
I've had people drown in front of me. Before we've got there, that person's gone.
Calm down, you're okay, pal.
Equipped with their own cameras.
My light flashing. Yeah, mine.
The crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it. speeding through the roughest weather, searching for people who may only have moments to live.
Go!
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
The decisions we make on a lifeboat, it can all mean the difference between life or death.
This is BBC Radio 4, where it's time for the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1725 on Sunday the 15th.
October. In Rosslare on the southeast coast of Ireland, all is calm. But out in the Atlantic, a storm is brewing.
The general synopsis at 1800. Hurricane Ophelia, southwest Fitzroy, expected Malin 973 by 1.
Hurricane Ophelia has already battered the coast of America. Now it's heading east. Next stop, Ireland.
There are flood warnings along the west coast of the UK and Ireland. The Irish leader urges people to stay indoors.
This is a national red alert. It applies to all cities, all counties and all areas.
There's an old saying among sailors that a storm long forecast lasts long, and this storm was well forecast.
Even at this point, you can really feel the sheer power of Ophelia, but it gives you a sense why the authorities have been so concerned about these winds. They are going to cause a lot of damage and indeed destruction.
With Ophelia due to hit at any moment, Ireland is battening down the hatches.
The whole country was preparing itself for it. Ships had cancelled, trains cancelled, buses cancelled.
All the businesses in Ireland closed that day.
Nothing was moving, nothing was happening. Just a complete shutdown.
The wind that morning was something scary about the wind that morning. It just blew so hard and so noisy.
A shout on that day was very unlikely. It was the last thing on my mind.
I was at home that morning, just getting a cup of tea, and the page went off, and my wife was at the table with me, and she said, "Oh, geez, the page has gone off." I said, "It's probably nothing."
But the call is a mayday, the most serious of distress signals at sea. It means lives are in imminent danger.
And I just couldn't believe it. I said, "A mayday for what?" And I said, "A yacht with 3 people."
With such advance notice, it's surprising that anybody was out. But some people get caught out.
So I just turned around and headed for the station.
These are the nights that you dread. These are the callers you dread. These are the ones that you fear for, you know what I mean? You're putting life in danger, there's no question about it. Everybody's life's in danger in that boat.
Despite the horrendous conditions, 17 volunteers rushed to the lifeboat station. Operations manager David has to select 7 of them to crew the boat.
Everything going down to the station, everything was blown around the place, and trees were down and lines were down, and I was asking 7 people to get into a lifeboat to go to sea in that. But mayday means they're in immediate danger, and it was only a matter of time for they wasn't going to come back. We had to just get out there and get to them as quick as we could.
The crew launched their 7-class lifeboat. Responsibility for their safety lies with coxswain Eamon.
To say I wouldn't be concerned going out there would be a lie. The main thing always with me is get there and get back safely and with everyone on board.
The 10-metre yacht is approximately 12 miles up the coast from Rosslare. It's out of control and being blown towards danger.
This yacht was in a patch of sea which the further north you went was narrowing, and whether you met the land to the west or whether you met the sandbanks to the east, you were going to be in serious trouble before very long.
To make matters worse, conditions are rapidly deteriorating.
It was the windiest day I have ever been at sea. And the thing I noticed is the wind speed never dropped. It kept going up.
We know this area quite well, but to see it on that day, it was just like somewhere that we'd never been before. It was just violent.
Back at base in Rosslare, David is fielding calls from concerned family members of the crew at sea.
Pressure all around, to be honest with you, I mean. You're in the watchtower, you made the decision to launch, you have family ringing. How are the lads going? How's the lifeboat going? Are you in contact with the lifeboat? And I was getting text messages from people that morning in the village, saying prayers, like, you know. We had one woman rang and said she sent a rosary in the house, you know. Was nice thought, absolutely nice thought, but just go to show that people around the whole area were unbelievable that morning.
"35 minutes after launching, the crew spot the yacht in the distance.
First glimpse of the yacht was a boat that was out of control. It was being dominated by the sea and the wind.
The yacht's engine has cut out, and in the extreme winds, it can't sail out of danger. Unable to make it to the nearest harbour, the three-man crew are at the mercy of Ophelia and the sea.
We were hitting 70, 80 knots of wind, 8-9 metre seas, and it was just epic. It was biblical. It was like standing in a wind tunnel, being hit by a pressure washer in the face. It's just phenomenal.
The size of this little yacht out here in this weather was just bizarre. We circled them a couple of times and we could see that they'd taken an awful battering and swamping.
If I had been in that yacht, I would have been very worried.
They needed help. They needed help badly.
As the yacht is blown towards the sandbanks, the lifeboat crew are running out of time to come up with a rescue plan.
Taking them off wasn't going to be an option. There's just no way two boats could go side by side in that weather. The weight of the lifeboat, 40-something tons coming down on a yacht, doesn't bear thinking about the damage that it would do.
The only other option is to try to tow the boat to safety. But first they have to somehow get control of the runaway yacht. The crew prepare to deploy a device called a drogue.
A drogue is like a parachute that you will tow behind your boat, so it will give you directional stability and it will slow you down a little bit.
But with 80-mile-an-hour winds and an 8-metre swell, the crew's first challenge is getting the drogue over to the yacht.
1 minute we were 20 metres from, the next minute we were 5 metres from, so, you know, I had to keep my distance for the safety of boat crew.
Keeping pace just a few metres away, the crew managed to throw a line to the yacht. Once attached, the drogue can be deployed.
Having successfully passed the drogue, it was just unbelievable the difference that it stabilised the ship, and it made it a lot easier to get that much closer to him to establish a tow line, which was our next plan.
The wind was blowing all the time, and as soon as I threw the heaving line, the wind caught it and just blew it like a piece of paper away from the casualty. We had to haul that back in, and had to reposition the boat. And I think on the second time we got it over to him.
Now they've established a tow, the crew must steer clear of the sandbanks ahead of them. That means turning back towards Rosslare and heading straight into the storm.
Turning the boat was going to be the worst worry. Turning it into that swell and going broadside on. We couldn't pick our moment. We just had to go for it because the waves were just so constant, the swell was constant, the wind was building, the yacht was on the end of the rope, and we just hoped for the best that it would come round. Thank God we just went for it and it came round.
But the yacht and its crew aren't out of danger yet. Their safety now relies on the tow holding up against the force of the waves and the increasing strength of the wind.
We're depending on a rope attached between two boats, and for the fittings on the boat not to part in those conditions, because the loads, they would have been enormous.
We lost sight of it quite a few times, and next thing it just come out through the middle of the wave. Like, it wasn't going out over the wave, it was coming through the middle of the waves that day. The seas were that fierce.
The ride back was the most uncomfortable, extreme weather I've ever been in. We were just being hit in the face with walls of water. The boat was creaking and moaning. It was blowing 100 knots on the nose, and it was just the most unpleasant place I've ever been.
We just, inch by inch, got closer to Rosslare.
A series of unexpected setbacks had placed experienced skipper Mark and the yacht's crew in Ophelia's path.
We were delivering a 34-foot yacht, pretty normal delivery from the south coast round to a small marina just north of Dublin. We knew we had a severe weather forecast chasing us, but at this point we were 24 hours ahead of that.
I woke up 5 a.m. in the morning to do my shift, and I noticed the sea had changed. It had become very calm and flat, and it was a bit weird. You could feel something was different. I've never experienced that, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I guess it was the calm before the storm.
My barometer started screaming anticyclone, and that was the point at which I realised that the weather window that we had was no longer available.
You could look out towards the sky, and there were waves the size of, houses creeping up behind us. As you go down into the trough of a wave, the next wave seems to sneak up on you, like an office block's about to collapse on you. By this point, it had become obvious that we didn't really have full control on our direction.
It's better under here than it is there.
I said to the guys calmly, we're not in a great position right now. We're not going to be able to get to where I need to go. I'm going to make a call for the lifeboat, and they're going to come and get us, and they're going to take us in. Don't panic about it, it's perfectly normal.
The skipper came down. I offered to make him a cup of tea, and he gave me a look like I was a lunatic, and informed me that he was going to let the Coast Guard know that we were in a spot of bother. It still didn't quite register how much bother we were in with me. But he sat down, he picked up the radio, and he made aid. At that point, the seriousness of the situation hit me.
I would say we probably had about 2 miles or about 15, 20 minutes of drift before we were going to turn into a washing machine on the beach. I said, if this goes wrong, we're going to sit downstairs, we're going to bunch ourselves into a cabin, and we're going to hold in. That's our only choice. And then the lifeboat turned up after 15, 20 minutes. And it was just the greatest sight I'd ever seen.
After 3.5 hours of battling through Ireland's biggest storm in 50 years, the two boats finally make it back to Rosslare Harbour.
Would like someone to just pull the plug, really. It was unbelievable. The relief, like to see him come around the corner with the yacht and all. It was absolutely, it's a feeling that I don't think you'll get out of no other.
This is something I haven't told the crew, but if you look at the timing and the speed we were travelling at and the direction we were being forced in, if the lifeboats hadn't got there, there's no chance we'd have survived that. That is a real 3 lives saved. That's not a question. That's definite.
There's always a great sense of satisfaction on completing a mission.
It's what we train for every day of the week, and to be successful on such a day, words cannot describe it.
I've never seen such a sigh of relief in my 33 years as on my wife and kids that day, just open arms and tears, and it was definitely hit home that they were doing the worrying, not me. So.
Ophelia may have been a once-in-a-lifetime storm, but crews around the coast must always be prepared for whatever the weather throws at them.
The sea can be dangerously unpredictable.
There is no way you can be prepared for every eventuality at sea.
You can be the most experienced person in the world, and the sea can always find something to catch you out.
You just never know what it's going to throw at you.
It can be flat calm 1 minute and it can change in an instant.
All of a sudden you get a bank of fog rolling and you might not be able to see 30 feet in front of you.
It's like, what's the wind doing? What's the tide doing? It's just a test over and over again.
I've never had wind like this before.
The only thing that surprises me is I still get surprised when I go out and I'm faced with what we're faced with.
If you drop your guard, it will punish you.
So it's a case of weighing up the wind conditions, the sea conditions, and thinking about how we can best save people and keep ourselves safe at the same time.
The north coast of Cornwall is one of the most exposed parts of coastline around the British Isles. The residents of the village of St Agnes are accustomed to the unpredictable weather that rolls in from the Atlantic. Life here revolves around the beach.
St Agnes is an absolutely awesome place. It's probably the best place in the world, I would say.
It's the best playground ever. You know, you have a look at that out there. It's beautiful. It's a fit, healthy environment for children to grow up in. You know, I wouldn't want my children growing up anywhere else.
Throughout the busy summer months, the lifeboat crew at St Agnes work together with a team of 6 lifeguards. You don't have to be miles out to sea here to need rescuing. Many people are pulled out of the water just a few meters from the beach.
You've got to keep an eye on people going in the water and make sure they stay safe. And if the need comes, you know, they've got to head into the water and have those skills to be able to rescue them.
Steve has been a lifeguard here for the past 9 years. He's just the latest member of his family to patrol these beaches.
My mum and dad were lifeguards. My brother was a lifeguard. I'm as lucky as any professional footballer. What I do in my spare time, what I love doing, I managed to turn into a career.
If Josie's in difficulty out there, what signal might she put up? Nearly, well done.
Steve also helps run St Agnes's Life-Saving Club, training aspiring young local lifeguards.
It's the youth club for our village. Everyone centres around the beach, so this is our community centre.
Most of St Agnes's lifeboat crew have come through the club's ranks. One of the current students is Steve's 11-year-old daughter, Brooke.
We learn about the situations that we could end up in if we don't follow the rules that the lifeguard sets.
She loves it. Yeah, it's a great activity for her. She's the lifeguard in the making.
One evening in May, from the clubhouse that overlooks the beach, Brooke's life-saving instincts kick into gear.
I looked out the window. I could see these two heads in the water, and they started going even further and further out, so I knew that they must have been in the rip.
Two boys are being swept out to sea in a rip current, a powerful channel of water flowing out from the shore.
A rip current is basically water being pushed into the beach, rushing back out. And it's just like a river, basically.
Rip currents can be incredibly fast-flowing. They could outrun an Olympic swimmer. So once you're in one, there's absolutely 0 point trying to swim back against it. If you do find yourself in one, just swim at 90 degrees to it, so parallel to shore normally, because they're always going out to sea.
I knew that this wasn't just two lads playing. This was somebody who needed help.
Steve immediately heads through the surf on a rescue board. At the lifeboat station, the crew prepare to launch their D-class inshore boat.
We can see that they're in the water, we can see they're in trouble. So the things that are going through our mind are, they're going to be cold. Obviously there's a risk of drowning.
But between the crew and the boys stands a major obstacle.
Beth, you going outside?
It's high tide and waves are breaking directly onto the slipway.
It was going to be a hairy launch. The surf at that time when I came down to the beach was a good 5 to 6 foot.
Get the launch wrong and it could be the crew who need rescuing.
Come on, pull it in. Hold on.
We do get knocked over, rolled around. It tends to not be a sandy bottom, it's like pebbles and things, so it can be quite horrible, to be honest.
We are punching through waves that can be the size of your house. It's all about timing, getting it right.
On this one, go run! 1, 2, 6, go! Come on!
Wave off! I've got a whole load of wave up my nose on that wave.
Watching from where I was at the back of the surf, they hit that first wave hard and the boat came up almost vertical over the back of that wave.
With the lifeboat safely through the surf, it's just a few seconds before they reach the boys.
2924, Farmers Coast, over.
So contact there. Falmouth Coast Guard, St Agnes lifeboat. We've got 2 casualties on board, 2 teenage boys. Just getting life jackets on and we'll be back on the beach in a few minutes, over.
So we pulled these 2 boys into the boat, put life jackets on them, had a quick chat with them.
One of them was pretty cold and shaking. I think he was panicking a fair bit at that stage.
They seemed a bit shaken up. They kept apologising, to which we kept saying, it doesn't matter, this is what we're here for.
But they're not home and dry yet. The next problem is getting back through the surf to shore.
Yeah, when we go in, we'll be going quite fast. As we hit the beach, obviously we'll stop, so you might fly forward, so make sure you're hanging on. I ain't got any seatbelts.
To avoid being rolled by the waves, Helm Gavin has to go flat out to match the speed of the incoming swell.
Landing.
20 minutes after they were spotted, the boys and the lifeboat are brought back to shore and safety.
You okay? That's right. A bit of excitement, innit?
They were pretty relieved, and after a quick thank you, I think they were quite happy to get back home.
After raising the alarm, 11-year-old Brooke watched the whole rescue unfold from the beach.
Afterwards, I felt quite proud of myself.
I don't think Brooke had realised for a little while that actually all of this happened because of her, because she knew that this wasn't just two people swimming. This was two people who were tired and struggling against the rip current.
She definitely has the hallmarks of a future lifesaver. To be able to spot when someone's in trouble, aged 11, I think she is absolutely fantastic.
Her observation skills, her awareness helped in saving these two lads. She's brilliant.
Standing on the edge of the English Channel, the historic town of Dover is Britain's closest point to continental Europe and a tourist destination in its own right.
The coastline around Dover's absolutely amazing. Amazing views.
We've got the White Cliffs of Dover, fantastic landmark. And we've got rolling hills and countryside 10 minutes from the sea.
Dover is also one of Britain's biggest ports. And the shipping lanes that stretch out into the channel are the busiest in the world.
It's not a particularly big stretch of water. It's only 20 odd miles across, so it funnels a lot of traffic into a very, very small space. There's lots of very, very big ships. They can get very, very close sometimes, and that can be very daunting, not only for the people that are being rescued, but for us.
If you can imagine running across a 3-lane motorway in the middle of rush hour, that's about how dangerous it is.
It's a steep learning curve for Dover Lifeboat's latest recruit, Jay, the youngest member of the crew at just 19.
Everything you do is kind of like I want to prove to myself that I can do this. All the crew know that everyone they take to sea is competent in what they do, that everything you've learned, training you've done, will sort of pay off when you need to use it.
But a breezy summer's day throws a curveball to even the most experienced members of the Dover crew.
The pagers went off in the early afternoon to tell me that a barge at sea was having engine difficulty coming across the shipping lanes.
7 miles off the Dover coast, a 40-foot flat-bottomed houseboat has run into trouble.
You wouldn't want to be stuck out in the middle of the channel on a boat like that. You wouldn't want to be stuck out in the middle of the channel on a boat full stop.
Being hit by a big ship is obviously not going to go well for you.
10 minutes after the call, the crew launched their 7-class lifeboat into the rapidly deteriorating conditions.
The problem was the weather had turned very, very quickly. Force 5, force 6, enough to make life tricky for a small barge in the middle of the English Channel.
Negotiating their way through the busy channel, the crew spot the barge in the distance.
Port side, yeah? Port side.
It was quite choppy seas when we arrived on the scene. The barge was bobbing up and down like a yo-yo in a little bathtub.
The wind was picking up, the tide was picking up, and it was just struggling to actually move forward in the water.
Floundering in the busy shipping lanes and with waves threatening to swamp her, the crew must come up with a plan fast to save the houseboat and the 4 people on board.
I asked whether you were okay to receive a tow line, and they said that they were unsure about how to secure it. They were quite scared about going up front, bearing in mind that the barge was dipping in and out of the waves.
So we decided it was best to put one of our crewmen over.
The coxswain said, right, who wants to jump over?
And Jay, being one of the new crew members of the lifeboat, he probably wanted to prove himself.
Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time to volunteer.
Crossing from one moving boat to another in these conditions is something that all lifeboat crew train for. But this is Jay's first attempt in a genuine rescue.
What you're looking for is to pick a spot, safely try and step across, okay? Don't go until James is happy. When James is happy, then you pick your time to go. Right. Don't feel rushed. If we have to come away and have another go in, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Transferring people between craft in any weather is one of the most dangerous operations we do.
Get ready.
You know, if the boat rocks over, if your legs, or leg or arm, anything's in the way, you know, you'll lose it quite quickly.
as you go over, Jay, the only place to hold on is with your right hand. That is pretty much my plan.
One slip, you end up in the water, you're then between two boats, and you're just going to be crushed between the two of them. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and they go wrong very quickly when they do go.
The 7 class, she's nearly weighing at 45 tonnes. She's a big old girl. And the barge is only probably 10 tonnes. And seas that were going up and down, side to side, can be very challenging.
Just waiting for a bit of a break.
With the break in the waves and the boats aligned, James gives Jay the all clear.
Ready.
You don't want to go until you know that your speeds are matched.
In the crew.
You know, you're comfortable taking that step. You never want to jump, because if, you know, one ship takes a wave or moves slightly wrong, you've jumped to something that's no longer there.
Well done. Oh, thank you so much. You're welcome.
It was a great relief to see Jay over on the other boat, safe and well.
What's the best way out to the front of your ship?
Steps on here this side, and then over the top and over the front rail.
Okay.
Jay can't afford to rest on his laurels. In the middle of the channel, every second counts.
A constant stream of big tankers, cargo ships, can't just stop on a sixpence. Most ships take about 2 miles to actually stop fully, and that may not always be possible. So that's probably most captains' fear.
Jay must secure a tow line so the lifeboat can pull the barge back to the safety of Dover.
Setting up a tow in some rough weather can definitely be a challenge. You're trying to do everything with one hand, because you've got one hand sort of holding on for the boat, trying to keep your balance. And you're trying to do everything else with just sort of the one hand. It can get tricky.
We're going to use either line, or we're just going to lock them.
While the crew prepare the tow rope, Jay has to find the best place on the barge to secure the line.
I guess I'll throw it. You'll have to just shout, let me know when James gives me when.
Anything with a rope can be very dangerous at sea.
There's a huge amount of tension on that boat swinging around off the end of the tow rope. It poses great risk.
By towing line parting, it will ricochet back at the boat with incredible force. If you're stood anywhere near that, if it did part, it would, you know, take your leg off.
5 minutes after getting onto the boat, Jay manages to secure the tow.
Okay, fast! You happy to make off, James?
The houseboat and its crew can now resume their journey back to Dover in a more sedate fashion.
Hello, mate. Mate, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
We're still floating. Channel's a funny place. Because you hear about people swimming across it, don't you? So you think, well, it can't be that difficult if you swim across it. But then when you get to the point on your little riverboat where you can't see dry land anymore, it's quite a moment.
Johnny's plan was to bring his houseboat, a vintage Dutch river barge, back to England from Calais. With an experienced skipper at the helm, Johnny had brought a couple of friends along for the ride.
The weather conditions when we set off were absolutely picturesque. At least 20 degrees. We were putting on sunblock. We had the hatch open on the roof. It was beautiful.
But out in the channel, conditions can change fast, and it doesn't take much to knock a flat-bottomed barge off course.
It was pretty bumpy. It was pretty unpleasant. But, you know, nobody was worried at that point. It wasn't anything we didn't think we could cope with. But it just kept getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse.
It was like being on a roller coaster, and every time the bow of the boat came back down, it was like a car crash. Every sort of 20 to 30 seconds, it was soul-destroying.
Walls of water all around us, and we were pitching, and we were being thrown around quite violently. It was pretty scary.
I don't get seasick. I got seasick. Very, very seasick.
9 hours into the journey, the barge's engine, buckling under the strain, started to overheat.
I suddenly realised that the propeller was spending quite a lot of time out of the water rather than in the water, where we kind of could have done with it. Bob, 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 and then zzz, bob, 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 zzz. Obviously making us even slower and prolonging the agony.
Then dawned, certainly on myself, that this might not end well.
It was awful, because everything I own's on the boat. Everything my fiancée owns is on the boat. It's our entire life. It's our home. Plus, we've got 3 close friends on the boat as well, who are all there just because of this crazy adventure that we went on. And, you know, and what if one of them gets hurt, or, you know, it's my fault. It's all my fault. Yeah, it was pretty intense.
It was a hard decision to call out the Coast Guard. Had we lost the engine, could have been pushed sideways by the waves, potentially capsized. In the end, it was a good call.
Alpha, Devon, lifeboat channel 67,
And then 12 minutes later, this glorious orange lifeboat appeared. 12 minutes, it was all it took. I gotta tell you, I have never been so pleased to see anyone in my entire life.
To finally see that orange blip on the horizon, it was beautiful.
They came alongside, and this lad just stepped across like he was just walking in my front door. Like I just invited him in to tell me about his encyclopedias he's selling.
He was so relaxed and calm. It calmed us down a bit.
2 hours after they started the tow, the barge limps into Dover.
Thank you so much.
There was a thought amongst our crew that perhaps we had landed ourselves with rather a large bill.
Might be a silly question, and we're very grateful to be alive. What's the score with like charges and things?
Which would have been fair enough, and I would have paid it gratefully had that been the case.
And that just made me laugh, because obviously, being the owner, like, we don't charge for anything.
We're a charity, we don't charge.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the look on their faces when I told them that was brilliant.
Rescue for free. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? You know, these people risk their lives. They're volunteers. It's insane. So, yeah, we made plans to meet them all in the pub later on to say thank you, because how often do you get to drink with real heroes, you know?
Jay absolutely risked his life. That was one hell of a jump.
Jay did prove himself that day. He did an outstanding job. It makes me very proud that my crew members do a good job.
I wouldn't say I risked my life. There might be some people that would think I did there, but I sort of see it as part and parcel of that job.
Out at sea, every crew member must be prepared to face up to their biggest fears.
The sea has scared me on many occasions. You get anybody who goes out and say, oh yeah, I'm not scared of the sea, they're lying. It can be a very, very scary place.
You don't always get a sense of how powerful it is from the shore, but once you're actually out in it, you think, actually, we're just a tiny little speck here and extremely vulnerable.
I've had a wave break completely on the front of the boat. We've been underwater and going backwards. So, yeah, it has scared me.
It's good to be scared, like, you have to be scared. Like, having a bit of fear, you know, it gives you that respect and not to do silly things when you're out there.
I think the scariest thing is breaking down and having
your fellow crew come out and save you. I think that's what we're all worried about.
At the mouth of the Tor and Torridge estuary in North Devon lies the quayside village of Appledore. Despite its postcard pretty charm, this part of the coast holds a host of dangers for any unsuspecting visitors.
We've got very jagged coastal line with cliffs everywhere, very prone to people getting cut off. The tidal flow, it's so unpredictable. We've had many a time when we've gone out and it's come in a lot quicker than what even we've thought. We've got some sinking sand in different places as well.
Obviously, it looks very, very benign, but yeah, it can catch you out quite quickly.
If you don't know your local area, then it really can be quite dangerous out there.
Late spring, a call comes in from the Coast Guard. It's to one of the coast's most treacherous and unpredictable hazards.
First information was there was a person stuck in quicksand. Quicksand can be, deadly.
But the quicksand isn't the only danger.
The tide was out but coming in, so it's very serious, and the problem is that the more water that comes up, the more difficult it is to get him out because the sound is obviously heavier.
The estuary here has fast-changing tides which rise very quickly. A range of nearly 8 meters at its maximum makes it one of the highest tides in Europe.
And it's so scary for them because obviously they can't get out or move, and that must be horrible, just knowing that that tide's coming in as well and you're not sure how you're going to get out or what's going to happen next.
The stricken man is stuck on a sandbank on the opposite side of the estuary. The crew head across at full speed in their inshore lifeboat.
Hey, where is it? Just see his head right in line with the tide runs here 4 to 5 knots. It's definitely time critical.
2 minutes after launching, the crew arrive at the beach. With the tide racing in, they need to work out the best way to get to the stranded man.
Is he the other side? Yeah. Can we get out here and get over the top, can we? We should be able to.
Sam and Simon abandon the boat to try and reach the man on foot.
Right, Sam.
But with the uncertain conditions underfoot, every step must be carefully weighed up.
If you feel it getting a bit soft, do you want me to carry this shovel?
You can't rush on a job like this. Once you get to where they are and you know that the sand's soft, you need to be really careful because otherwise you could end up being stuck yourself.
Just watch the long lines, Sam.
Quicksand is formed when water saturates an area of loose sand and the sand is agitated.
Another one there, Sam.
When the water trapped in the sand can't escape, it creates a liquefied soil that can no longer support a person's weight.
You can't see quicksand as such. I always tend to go on anything with shells or, stones because you know that it's a bit safer.
As the stranded man comes into view, it becomes clear just how quickly the tide is coming in.
The tide was really racing. By the time we'd crossed in ankle-deep water and looked around, it was knee-deep.
Less than 6 minutes after launching, Sam and Simon reach the man.
How you doing? It's nice and solid through here, Sam. You all right, bud?
When we got there, he said he was stuck. Problem is, once the sand builds up and the pressure's around it, it's so much weight, to even try and get your foot out of.
Seems pretty solid just under, but I don't want to go walking on there. He was very quiet. Yeah, shocked, I would have thought. But I'm not sure whether he had watched something that he must stay still. Moving makes it worse, which it does. Won't be a minute. We're going to get you out. It's fine. The more you panic, I think, the worse it can get, because if you start moving around quite quickly, you can sink further.
Too risky to approach the man through the quicksand themselves, the crew come up with a simple plan to get him out using the shovel.
Do you want to try having a go at digging your foot out?
You don't catch your foot though.
Yeah. Dig nice big bits around the outside. That's it. And work your way in. That's it. Give it a nice... No, try and get a bit closer. We don't want to become stuck, so it's a lot easier for him to get digging. That's it, keep it coming. That's it, bud. All right, if you lean on that, get this bag.
Brett had been out for a walk on the beach when his stroll came to a sudden stop.
At the start of the walk, it was dry, it was flat, it wasn't sandy, it was almost like walking on tarmac.
All right, that's right. You come on this nice hard stuff, bud.
I thought I could see a route to Appledore, and it was a hot day and it looked so flat and as if you could walk across. I got stuck.
This is nice and firm for you, bud. All right, you're all right now.
I tried to pull my foot out and I realised that it wasn't going to happen. It felt like almost someone just grabbing hold of you and then grabbing tighter.
Gets a bit worrying when it's like that, doesn't it?
Can do, yeah. I've read or heard that the more you struggle, the worse it can turn out. I just thought, well, the best thing to do is phone 999.
See how quickly that's come in now. What's that? He did do the right thing and call it in, you know. Within an hour, he'd have been totally submerged underwater.
He was really quiet, but I think he was probably more embarrassed than anything else.
I was embarrassed, yeah. I couldn't wait to get out of there.
Because it is embarrassing. I mean, a lot of people, when we pick them up or do anything, they're like, oh, no. But, well, hindsight, that's what we're there for, so.
40 minutes after raising the alarm, Brett is delivered safely back to shore.
He was just unfortunate. It can happen to anyone. I think he might have learnt a lot from it as well. I don't think he'll be back down that way.
3 months after Storm Ophelia battered Ireland, life in Rosslare is back to normal. But the extreme tides and unpredictable weather around this part of the Irish coast mean that the town's 24-strong lifeboat crew have to be on their toes 365 days a year.
New Year's Day, we were just tidying up after the night before, and then, surprisingly, the pager went around lunchtime.
I just didn't expect it. It's New Year's Day, just don't expect a shout. Everyone was a bit surprised, but then again, just, right, job needs to be done, let's get on and do it here.
Again, you drop everything, you switch into lifeboat mode, and off you go to do what you've got to do.
A man is in difficulty in the water off Curracloe Beach, 10 miles north of Rosslare.
The first information we received on arriving at the boathouse is there's a surfer surfing with his partner and he was being blown out to sea and they were kind of losing sight of him. We had an initial position and certainly when someone is in the water you don't have time to wait around.
The station's 7-class lifeboat is launched within 7 minutes.
People in the water don't have time. The faster you get to them, the more chance you have of bringing them home.
In January, with a sea temperature of around 10 degrees, anyone in the water for any length of time without the right gear is in grave danger.
Hypothermia can take its toll very quickly when you're dealing with the water because the water will sap away the body's heat very fast.
The casualty has been caught up in a rip current, made worse by a strong offshore breeze. It's threatening to drag him right out into the busy shipping lanes of the Irish Sea.
It was a westerly wind and probably force 5 or 6, and it was just sending him out further and further to sea at the time. So we had to move quickly.
But finding a lone surfer in the open sea is a huge challenge.
At times, trying to find a boat is hard enough, or a life raft. But when you just have someone in a dark wetsuit, it's always going to be difficult to spot.
The surfer's partner, Caroline, who raised the alarm, is still on the beach.
I felt completely helpless because we were just watching somebody that you care about float further away from me, and I was definitely starting to panic at that stage where I was struggling to keep an eye and see where he actually was.
The Coast Guard helicopter has been scrambled to assist the search.
I was looking at him then going, I hope he understands that I'm taking action and I'm making calls to figure this out, because you could see very clearly that he was physically paddling but not moving.
The worst case scenario is finding him too late. That's in the back of our mind, so you can imagine what's in the back of his, you know, so.
20 minutes after setting off, the crew hear over the radio that the helicopter has spotted something in the water.
The helicopter hovered above his position, and when we got within a couple of 100 metres of the casualty, we had a visual of him.
When we set eyes on him first, it was just this black head in the water. It's just like a football. As we got closer, the board was more visible than the person.
The surfer had been in the water for 90 minutes. The crew must get him on board quickly to assess his condition.
We have an A-frame on the side of the boat for lifting people out of the water. So we placed a harness under his arms and lifted him onto the deck. And he was visibly shaken. He was shivering.
Definitely hypothermia was taking a hold of him.
So we got his wetsuit off, we dried him off, and then we had the heating on in the wheelhouse as well, and we had a couple of blankets, so we were able to warm him back up a little bit and get a smile back on his face.
There was a decent wave. It was probably a little choppier than maybe some of the other times I've seen it. And there was a strong wind. But yeah, picked our spot and went in.
Michael and Caroline had an early night on New Year's Eve so they could start the year with their newfound passion for surfing.
We'd been in the water for about an hour and we were both probably getting tired. And I said to Caroline, I feel we're a strong pull here. I feel we're in a rip. Maybe we need to move out of this.
But while Caroline caught a wave back to the beach, the rip current, combined with the offshore breeze, dragged Michael out to sea.
I just got out of the water and looked back at him. Then I could kind of see that while he was paddling, he wasn't moving anywhere.
It was a case of, I hope the hell they know that I'm in trouble here and that I need help. The cold starts in your toes and your fingers. You're trying to paddle a little bit so that you know that you're keeping your fingers moving, but then they're starting to get, bitterly cold, and that was becoming frightening. It was after that I heard the chopper coming over the horizon, and it took me, I could hear it before I could see it. And I was like, I'm not worried about this thing now. There's somebody on the way to help and they'll get me one way or the other.
"20 minutes after being plucked out of the water, Michael is delivered safely back to shore.
Complete relief, that, wow, things could have very easily gone quite differently. And it's good to see his face.
My mum walked into the station and I was drinking a cup of tea, and she was like, all the RNLI guys were standing there and everybody was making sure I was okay, and my mum was like, I told you to take up golf. So that was her response.
If he hadn't been reported, the wind that day was blowing him offshore at a fair speed, and then the tide would have brought him north, and His outlook could have been very different.
Every time you bring someone home safe and well, you have a great sense of achievement. It puts a smile on your face for weeks on end. It makes the job worthwhile. That was what the job is about. The job is about bringing people home safe.
On a London canal, Johnny and Chaz are having their first reunion on the old houseboat.
Hello, permission to come aboard, sir?
Of course.
Salty sea dog. Good to see you, mate.
Good to see you too, man.
They're already planning their next adventure.
We're going to do it again. Because we know what we're doing now, we know what to watch out for. We know to go in a faster boat that doesn't have a flat bottom. There's rule one there, kids. Do that. But yeah, it's going to be, you know, it's not put us off.
A few weeks after his lucky escape from Storm Ophelia, Tim is back home with his wife, Amelia.
My brother fixed the boat. It was just mechanical. We got it to its final destination eventually, with the aid of the same skipper.
The couple have since discovered they're expecting their first baby.
We have a little girl on the way, and once again, I feel the calm before the storm at the moment. It won't be called Ophelia.
Gonna lie low? Is this person under the water? Have they drowned?
Okay, well done, you're in the boat. Okay.
Nobody strapped to a spinal board is going to want to see people panicking.
Try and keep your eyes open, try and keep awake, okay?
All I can remember is both of us just screaming help, and then it went silent and I didn't know where she was.